Coming to you from Blue Crew Studio in Temecula, California, it's the Whiskey Throttle Show, taking you inside the lives and careers of the legends and leaders of action sports. Today's guest is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha is the industry leader in 2- and 4-wheel fun and performance. Motocross, off-road, adventure, side-by-side, Yamaha sets the standard. Yamaha revs your heart. Troy Lee made a name for himself as the most elite helmet painter in all forms of motorsport racing. His ability to make a stationary object look fast is something rare. That creativity gave way to motocross and mountain bike gear, helmets, and an arsenal of protective equipment aimed at keeping racers on the track and out of a doctor's office. The 2025 TLD line is out, and it's as fast as ever. Troy Lee Designs, blending speed and style. The Whiskey Throttle Show is presented by Motosport.com. It doesn't matter if you'd like to pull the throttle cable on a dirt bike, street bike, or ATV. Motosport.com has everything you need. Save time and money and make your next purchase at Motosport.com. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the Whiskey Throttle Show. It is Season 7, Episode number 1, here in Blue Crew Studio, and we're stoked to have a really good guest today, Mr. Broc Tickle. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Broc's a former 250 Supercross champion. Lots of highlights on the 450 as well, with a little bit of drama at the end of his career. We're going to talk about all that stuff. And he is now dialed in with Kawasaki as their primary race team test rider, which I think is such a good fit for you. And I want to talk about that here as we get cranking. I want to start by just welcoming a few of our new partners for this season. You know, 7 seasons seems like it's flown by. I always got to give my buddy GL and Donnie a shout out for, my original partners that started this with me. But it's been a lot of fun, and I really want to thank anytime we get new partners come on. Ethica this season, I'm so stoked for that partnership, and we're going to have some really cool stuff that we're working on together. We'll launch very soon. Rockwell Glasses, Watches, and Goggles, if you guys aren't familiar, really cool company, and I'm excited about what we're working on there. And TBDMX Graphics, stoked, really stoked to work with this company, and you'll get to know them a little bit more as we get cranking. And then Motosport.com, which is sponsoring this segment, Motosport.com kickoff Q&A. Get everything you need at Motosport. Rather than going to a dealership or going wherever, man, just sit down on your couch, get online, order what you need. We've got discount codes you can find on our social media page, and get it all at Motosport.com and ship it right to you. It's a great deal. Tell me about this role you took on here with Cowie. Obviously, as factory racers, you do a lot of testing, and it's a learned skill. And I want to talk I want to get into the weeds on that a little bit today. But how has that adjustment been for you going from full-time racer to test rider? What were some of the challenges and some of the things you like about it?
Well, when it first came to the table, I want to say it was 2021 around round 13 in Supercross, and I got a call from Oscar. And he was like, I wanted to see how you felt about maybe being a test rider, just to get my thoughts, see where I was with racing. And I said, I'm in. And we actually started testing immediately after the Supercross season in 2021. And at the time, there was no signed contract. It was just, let's just see how it goes. We're going to take care of you, but it's going to take some time through the legal process. And basically, it fell right into place. So I tested from May, I want to say, until October, basically without a contract, and then we got a contract signed and signed a 2-year deal then, or a 1-year deal, and then renewed for 2, and then just renewed again for 2. So is it like like as a racer, you're a contracted employee, you're not an employee? Yes.
Is that how
I'm exactly the same way as a racer. So my contract is written just like if I was racing.
Okay.
Basically for me, at the time it was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Because at the time I had a tough year in 21 with Supercross. And I was really struggling actually, and the testing side of things really interests me. And I think that started, progressing from the time I was at Pro Circuit in 2011 until 2021, because all through there I had Bones with me at PC. I had all the people, Ivan at RCH, and all the people at RCH at the time. And then at KTM, I kind of brought all this knowledge with me to KTM, kind of fine-tune the bike for me. And it was always something I kind of leaned on for my comfortability, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's like testing is, I've had some of the most frustrating days ever when you are looking for something and you try setting after setting after setting, part, and it's like you're not making any progress. You can leave the track and go, we went nowhere. I did 1 million freaking laps. We changed 1 million parts, and I'm no better than I was when I started. Like, those days are tough.
I would agree.
And then there's other days, though, like they pop something on or they make some change, and I'll, dude, where's this? That was it. Like, that was everything I was looking for. And those are, I think, maybe a little more rare those days, but when they happen, you're just like, yeah.
Well, I kind of relied on that, and I had a lot of success in my racing. Like, where we'd go during the week, we had a focus. We'd work on it, and then that weekend I would have a better result. And then I kind of, like, was connected to it fully. So, like, whenever we would get or make progress during the week, it would show on the weekend. So, for me, it was something I was attached to.
Yeah.
And even me being in
You
this
felt it,
position
like,
now,
tangibly, like,
yes.
okay, yeah.
And even if it was very small,
Yeah.
that to me can be big, especially with the way the class is now.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's tightened up.
It has. And there's, it gets a little bit made fun of when guys, like I'll use Chad Rees as an example here just because he was very picky, and he's always seemed like he was looking for something. It needs to be a little this or a little that. I want this. And when I came from kind of Ricky's era where he's like, it's good enough, I'll figure it out. Right. And Ricky was kind of a weirdo that way. He could just make something work. And I think the speed and the level that everyone's at right now, maybe you could still do that, but boy, it's sure nice when you can.
Yes, if you can make little margins here and there for your confidence, you and the team, that creates that connection as well. And I think that builds more trust, which we know builds confidence, and then confidence leads to better results.
And confidence is everything. And 100%. All those guys, they're just fighting for inches, especially this time of year, right? Where Jet's he's not perfectly comfortable on that bike. And so everybody's scrapping to kind of get that mental edge.
Yep.
And sometimes you just find a little setting, a little thing, and all of a sudden a guy goes, that's what I feel like I've been looking for. I'm comfortable. And he'll push a little bit harder, and that could make all the difference. It's a super important job, and I try to tell new kids coming in, well, man, find, whether it's Tedesco or connect with Bones if you're working with, find someone that can help you learn how to test and be a sponge. Because for your own career, I just wish I knew the things I know by the end of my career. I wish I knew those at the beginning, like what the clickers do, and what, if I'm feeling this, what does that mean? Because you got to kind of learn to speak that language and understand what they're doing. You can't just go, hey, it's just, I can't get through the whoops.
Well,
you can't say that.
A lot of people too, they need to focus on what their goal is, with their bike and what they're feeling. Sometimes I think a lot of outside information can confuse, I guess, just the normal public.
Yeah.
To what works.
Yeah.
If we don't know what engine package you have or what clamps you're running or all this other stuff, it really is irrelevant.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's got to be tough for you guys. I hear this every year. Anytime you guys have a new model, right? And a lot of times the race teams want to go, okay, well, let's throw our clamps and suspension on there and linkage and the stuff that we know has worked in the past and see how that feels. And it's like, it doesn't always work. If you've changed geometry and different lengths of things, it's like you're throwing shit at the wall, and it's 100%. Probably not a lot of it's going to stick. It's like you got to start all the way over at zero.
Yep, and that's what's cool with the position I was in. In 21, obviously it was the old chassis. In 22, I went to Japan, did some prototype and production stuff with Taka and the Japanese. And then when we got the bike here, we started completely stock.
Yeah.
And started bolting on things here and there, and then got a package together. And then now we're on our second year with that chassis and engine, and we're still making progress.
Yeah. Well, and you can see Anderson looks great on that thing. It's a bummer about Prado getting hurt, but he looked good. You can tell you guys have made good work on that bike. And it's interesting to watch, like even with Honda, they're struggling with that thing. Not that it's a bad bike, it's just you don't have any reference points. Yes. So you're just like going, okay, well, let's try something.
Yep.
Go out this practice and see if that's better. You end up testing when you don't want to be testing, but that's part of the deal.
Yeah, a new bike is, I think, difficult for anyone.
Totally.
You can say at production it's better hands down everywhere, but when it comes to the race team, obviously there's a lot of back data that you have to be aware of moving forward, So it's almost like you're starting at ground zero, because what worked on that sometimes maybe won't work on that.
Totally.
So
yeah.
It's kind of how it works.
It's super it's super complex. having been involved with race teams, I mean, and so I really appreciate the job you're doing there. I know can be a grind.
Yes.
And you have to be a guy that enjoys it, like you said you have, and isn't afraid to just grind, because those are long days, dude.
Well, and I actually enjoy, to be honest, like the production part of it, from taking it from production to race team, was probably the coolest thing I've done, to be honest, with the team, because it was a project for all of us, you know?
Yeah.
And then now, like, basically the goal in the this off season was to make improvements from last year. So we presented another package to Jason and to Jorge, and we had options, where last year it was like, this is what we have. So, like, it was all learning last year.
Yeah.
So now that we're here, we got a new package, full head to toe, actually, to be honest. So it's cool. And now that he's in a good place, still for me, my wheels are spinning on how can we be better.
Yeah.
And it's more about what he needs. So that's where I think for me the job's difficult.
I was going to ask, so like if he says, hey, I want it to have a little more like planted feel with the front or whatever. I don't know what he's asking for. But you don't really feel that, like, right? You feel good on the bike. But now you've got to go, okay, he wants that. Like, how do I get that? That's different. Like, that's something I've never had to do. I've never tested for another guy.
Yes.
That's another layer.
I think that's
of
where I
complexity.
rely on the people around us at the team. Like, whether it's Theo, who's Jason's crew chief, or Oscar, who's Jorge's. I've rode both of their bike setups. So if we're looking on an area that we want to be better in, I ride the bike, they look at the data, he rides the bike, look at the data, and then we kind of understand maybe why I'm not feeling it and they are, and then we kind of address that, I guess, that challenge there.
And while we're into the weeds here, let me just go a step further. Like, something that's new that I never had to deal with is the mapping side. Like, when these guys come up, set their laptop on the seat and do this, all right, try that. I'm just like, what is that? You know, it's so different. But I think for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, that's probably, in terms of engine character, that's the biggest factor now, is whatever they tap 100%. Away on it.
Yeah, if we feel like something's off, I mean, I think it's pretty easy for them to hit it on the head, to be honest, because most of the time we have to do any mapping stuff, it's normally pretty straightforward.
Is that right?
Seems like, from their side. You know, I'm not doing the work, but I'm giving the feedback, or the rider is, and normally we hit it right on the head. So it does make it easy when you have a good crew around you, because then they can direct it, and I think there's enough people around to kind of get it where it needs to go. Yeah,
it just used to be, in my day, it was like, I always enjoyed doing pipes and silencers on a two-stroke, because you could really change the character of the bike. And so that was kind of something I enjoyed testing, but it's like the exhaust doesn't really make much difference anymore. That's not where the big changes are. It's all in on the laptop.
No, it is pretty crazy. I mean, I would agree that a header or a silencer is very small nowadays, where I think in your area was big. It can make a difference on the 125 whether you're jumping the triple or not, right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Just different time. But anyway, well, I may ask you some more if some other stuff jumps up. In fact, while we're here, let's just do it. What's the coolest parts you've ever tested? You ever get something from Japan that you guys ended up not using, but you're like, God, it's a trick?
To be honest, nothing really stands out, actually, to be honest. When I went to Japan and did that testing, it was pretty much final. So, like, it was what it was.
Yeah.
And myself and the other test riders agreed upon a lot of the things that were going on with the package, at the time. So for me, there hasn't really been anything crazy, I would say, starting from stock and doing it that way. There was some things that actually I was confused on, because in the past when we've done this, it's been the opposite for me. For instance, like the clamps. I was at RCH at one point, and we went back to stock clamps, and I instantly better. And Roxon at the time was the one who wanted to make that change, and we did it for him, and he stayed on them. So then I was like, maybe there's something there for me. So then we tried them, and they were better. Where in this case, we did this, with the Kawi package here, and it wasn't that case. So it's interesting that, it's not always the same.
No.
Every package is different.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It is. It's kind of like a weird science, and you just have to. I guess
I'll take that back. So we did some 25. There's some new parts that they're offering to us, and it was clamps, fork tubes, lugs, a package. Threw it on, and I'm like, "What did you guys do?" It's the same setting. I'm like, no.
Totally different feel.
It was just rigidity. So for me, the rigidity part really stood out that day. So
Was it less rigid?
to be honest, I don't know, but it felt so much better.
Huh.
For me, it did.
Do they still, do they not tell you, like, okay, this package is less rigid, this is more? Or they just go, you tell me?
Well, from what I understand with the package, basically it's changing where it's rigid and where it's not. So as a package, it's hard for me or for them to understand whether it's more, if it's stiffer or softer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's just the package put together that makes it feel that way.
It's softer here, but it's stiffer here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Crazy. And then tell me that, I'm curious about this because you did a couple rounds last year. Two nationals?
Yes.
Red Bud and Buds, maybe?
Budds Creek, yep.
And I've always thought, for a guy in your shoes, you're still riding a ton, you're fast. I feel like you could jump in and be competitive, which I think you were top, I'd have to look, but top 10 at one of them.
Yeah, the second one, Red Bud, starts were really mediocre, and then I would think I was 13th overall there. But at the time, dude, honestly, I enjoyed it. Like there was a part of it that, especially at the first round, there was a lot of resistance, honestly, to be honest, within me.
Oh, okay.
Within me. Like, I'm like, what am I doing? I was catching myself being a racer again.
Yeah.
You're supposed to come do this and have fun. And it was cool for me to experience that. And I wanted to be reminded how hard it is, to be honest. And I got that.
You got that reminder.
I got that.
Yeah.
So, and then after that one, I had a 5-week break, and then we raced Buds, and it was a lot better. We made some bike improvements and whatever. So
one of the things I wanted to ask about that is, I guess you answered part of it. What was kind of going through your head as you're lined back up, but also, did you feel more comfortable on that bike than you had other race bikes in the past? I mean, you've got such intimate knowledge of that bike now. You got to have a pretty good setting, right, for yourself?
Well, when we showed up for Red Bud, we had press day. The track was deep. It rained.
Oh.
Literally on press day, I remember coming in and was like, we need to be better. We need to be better.
Is that right?
No, I was like, I'm glad I came to do this, because the main reason I asked to do the couple races, because I felt like for myself it would help with the bike. Obviously, Adam, didn't race outdoors, so I'm like, maybe if I ask to do it, I can get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to do it on my own as well, because I never got to say, I guess, goodbye to racing. So for me, that was my outlook on it. Let's see where the bike is under race conditions. Let's close out my racing career at a professional level, full time, because I never got to do that. And then, it was perfect. Honestly, perfect. First round, I was not that stoked, to be honest. And it wasn't like we didn't have the package close. It was just the dirt and
hard to replicate.
More of the engine, actually, to be honest with you. Was
it?
Yeah.
Because it is impossible to replicate national tracks anywhere. I don't care where you go or what you do. You just they kind of over prep them now, and it's so damn deep, and you've got all, I don't know, it's just really hard to replicate that.
Yep.
So I think it's cool that you went and did it. Will you do more?
I don't know if it comes again. It was fun, and I would like to race, actually, to be honest with you. I think that said to me after the 2 was, you still love racing, and you still have that racer inside you, even though, I mean, I felt it during the week, even some days when I feel good.
Yeah.
It comes out.
Yeah.
I get a little confidence or whatever just because I'm riding within a certain margin of the guys, and I'm like, I still got it.
I can still do this. Yeah.
But it doesn't, honestly, I've gotten better with like kind of letting that go, to be honest, because that's not my job.
Yeah, I know. And it's nice to feel that once in a while, but you also got to remind yourself, okay, I'm in another place.
Yes.
I need to,
Exactly. I've actually had a couple good crashes actually testing.
Yeah.
Because of those scenarios. And not exactly that, but it was a little bit the headspace I think I was in. So.
Okay. Cool. Well, I love hearing about it. Like I said, we may get into some more, but I want to get to your story here. Folks, get over to whiskeythrottlemedia.com if you haven't. All kinds of moto off-road, dual sport content, new merch over there, all kinds of stuff. So check us out. Our guest story is brought to you by Yamaha. So let's jump into it. Okay. Where'd you grow up? Are you North Carolina boy or Michigan boy?
North Carolina.
Because it has your Loretta's info is all from North Carolina, but then your pro racing stuff was Holly, Michigan, right?
Yep.
So I was confused. You must have moved to Michigan later, or how'd that go?
Well, so I was previously married,
Yeah.
and when I was young, 17, I turned pro. I moved to California. I was in Florida. I was never really somewhere
planted.
So
Okay.
I used my ex's
Okay.
home
She
address.
was from back.
Yes.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
kind of how that all fell into place. So everybody thinks I'm from Michigan, but I'm originally from North Carolina.
Okay. Where? What's the name of the town?
It's Cary. So
Which is
it's right outside of Raleigh.
okay. Cool. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out where the heck you grew up because I've seen multiple things. What was it like back there, back in those days?
Wow, we had a lot of competition actually. I mean,
Yeah.
growing up, we had the Treadle brothers,
The
Austin
Treadles.
Stroop, a lot of local guys. You know, Tyler Bright. You remember his name probably from racing. Jacob Hayes is from not from far. Kyle Peters, Taylor Futrell.
Oh yeah.
A lot. There's even more. I can't name them all, but there was a.
It's a hotbed right through there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was at that time. It was very the what was it? Victory Sports Ultra and Mega Series, which was
Okay.
our big like racing series. It was packed every weekend. I
Huh.
mean, you're talking 30, 40 guys in each class.
It's wild, man. Like, I mean, that area has probably been pretty. It's turned out good riders pretty consistently, but you can find an area. I mean, Oklahoma. You know, you've got like Renard, Kennard, Cooper. You know, Bogle. When there's a group of good guys, it's like they all do well.
Yes.
You know, kind of seems like it happened with you. Any siblings?
Yes, I have two brothers. They're younger than me.
Oh, okay.
Colton, the middle one, he raced and was pretty competitive. Actually, at Loretta's.
Tickle?
Colton Tickle.
I mean, that's really close to Days of Thunder.
Yes.
Colt Trickle.
So, actually, at Loretta's on 4 to 6 shaft, he was going in. I want to say he was going in leading or tied for the lead into the last moto
Is
or
that
something
right?
of that nature. I don't know exactly, but he at like 14 had a big crash, and then I think that's whenever he kind of spooked him. And then my youngest brother, to be honest, I moved out of the house when it was like 16 and a half or something, 17 years old, and he was still young. So I didn't even get to see him ride very much growing up, to be honest.
Are you tight with him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays
Okay.
it's actually crazy because obviously I'm 35 now. Colton's 31 and Carson, 32 and then 29. So like we're all older now, but like we're closer than ever.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool.
You know, it's weird when I hear David Bailey had this happen. He kind of moved with his family on the road and didn't really get to know his siblings at all until he was an adult, and he came back and he's kind of like trying to get to know them.
Yep.
And you don't really think about that, but you were gone by 16, 17, whatever you
Yep.
said. So they were still maybe out of diapers, but young.
Yes. No,
you
he
know?
was 11 basically. So just, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
still young. Now
Yeah.
looking back, like honestly, it's actually pretty cool because being a pro at 16 or 17 years old is now looking back, I'm like, I almost think they need to be older.
I've said forever it should be 18. You know,
Yes.
let them have a chance to finish high school and just grow up a little bit.
Yes.
But it's like then you have a Drew Adams or something
Yep.
who's so good at 16 that they don't want to wait.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I tend to agree with you. I think it's really young, but forces you to grow up fast.
Exactly.
Can be good.
A lot of life lessons I think you learn at a young age, and I think that's something I think it's good for you. But doing that in life sometimes is difficult,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well,
We learn a lot of good traits, I think, being so structured and whatnot, but taking those to real life sometimes can be challenging, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you see it happen. Look at how many of those guys you just rattled off from your
Yep.
area who just didn't make it.
Yep.
And a lot of them because they made bad choices.
Yep.
Sometimes injury and stuff. But I
Yes.
mean, you're 17 making a bunch of money living on your own.
Yep.
What could go wrong? You know, like
Yes.
it's a lot for you guys. What else were you involved in as a kid? Did you do other sports or anything before you got into moto?
So I played soccer a little bit, and that was about it at school. Mom would take us to the skate park, or whether it was BMX or skateboarding, and then there was a guy down the street that was, I think he was probably 3 or 4 years older than me, but he was really good at dirt jumping.
Okay.
And we used to always go to his house in the afternoons.
Yeah.
And then that led into myself and my brothers building ramps in the front yard. My dad taught us how to use the saw and whatnot, so we would end up making quarter pipes, and we were just
really?
normal kids. And then for me, during that time when I was still in school, I would go to Ian Treadle and the Treadle's house, which was about 45 minutes away.
Okay.
And they had, I want to say it was like 40 acres and 3-minute outdoor track and supercross track, and they had everything.
Oh, wow.
So like they had the full setup, and they honestly were a big part of me. From, I would say, as you can see here, probably around this era, from this progression we see here on the paper from the 60s to the big bikes, because during the winter, they would take me down to Florida with them, train with Ronnie Tishner, and then I had Serious Racewear helping me out as well financially to do so. So like there was a couple people that obviously, if you look back on it, if they weren't there, I probably would never be sitting right here with you.
Wow.
So it's kind of it's really cool to look at.
Ian Treadle, that's kind of a blast from the past, but that dude was like, he was gonna be really good for a minute. I don't know what happened, but
well, he actually lived with me. So in 2011, it was his first year. I want to say his first Supercross. I could be wrong. I think he got 5th place.
Okay.
And he was living with me, and he was with Rockstar Suzuki.
Okay.
And he crashed at Daytona in practice and hit his head.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes.
Bad.
Yes. And he was in a coma for quite a while. We didn't really know, even him living with me at the time, we didn't know much of anything, any updates. It was a long time before we knew it was serious.
Yeah.
So that was kind of honestly difficult, but at that time it was I had all eyes on racing at that point, you know.
Yeah.
But I look back on it and it's like, wow, that's a big deal.
Did it affect you at all? Did it kind of get in your head at all? Or
I
no?
think after the fact more than it did in the moment, because I was so focused on racing at the time. And
Is he okay now?
Yes, he's actually coaching kids now. He's still in North Carolina. This summer, if I haven't reached out to many people yet, but I would like to do some camps maybe. And he was one of the names that I was thinking about getting involved doing something in North Carolina. So
that's cool. Good for him, man. This sport's brutal.
Oh, it's a love-hate relationship for sure.
Hey, just like I said, that kid was really poised to be good, and then it just something like that.
Yep.
It's crazy. When did you get your first bike, and what was it?
So it was Christmas. I want to say it was 1992. I just turned 3.
Okay.
Mom has the video somewhere, but obviously Christmas videos, you know. Started up riding in the backyard. My dad set up a little ramp, just a plywood on blocks, basically.
Yeah.
I launched that.
P-dub?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just jumped right into the fence. Basically, no stop. So when you see those Instagram reels of people blowing through fences, that's what I see myself.
Whiskey throttle, dude.
Yep, exactly.
That happens so often. It's crazy. It's almost like a rite of passage, you know?
Yes.
You're all excited, grab a handful and just forget what to do with your right hand. I love it. You didn't get hurt or anything, though?
No, I was all good. And, I mean, that's a pretty good story, I think. My dad told me, which at the time even now I'm like, there's no way we raced that much. He swears we raced 73 races in 1 year. And so he did the math. It was Friday night somewhere, Saturday night somewhere, and Sunday for like a mega series race or ultra series race.
Dang. So you guys were in.
Oh yeah, we were in. So it's pretty crazy to think that I raced somehow 72 or 73 races in 1 year.
Well, that'll help you progress quickly.
Yes.
That's a lot of racing. You obviously loved it right away. I mean, your first trip to Loretto's was 98 in the 7 to 850 cc class. So you were a little guy still.
Yes.
You guys went for it hard. So you guys didn't just kind of ride for fun much. It was like once you got that bike, it wasn't long until you were.
So I would say it was more of a hobby, and I hate to say that, but it was more of a hobby until my dad sat me down when I was like 13, I want to say. And it's like, we can keep racing. But if you want to take this serious, I want to know. Like if you want to do this professionally as a job, I need to know like where you're at, because I'm willing to go all in with you and do this, but I want to know that you're on board to do it. And from that point on is kind of looking at the results here. That's whenever I picked it up.
Huh.
So around the age of, after about this year is when it started, 2003.
Yeah.
So from there
you remember that conversation just like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I'm willing to do it, but I want to know you're in. And at the time it was no question. I'm like, I'm in.
Man, that's you know what, that is like such an important question to ask, because you can take a kid who has maybe all the talent in the world or whatever, maybe he's winning everything, but if he doesn't really want it, man, don't waste your time. Like you can't make a kid want it.
Yep.
So like I love that he just wasn't a dick about it, but he just said, hey,
Yep.
how hard do you want to go at this?
Yep.
And you were obviously like all the
Yes.
way. I'm in 100%.
Because even at that time too, like the year before, I started getting a little better, and then once that happened though, it just progressed so quick.
Yeah.
Like everything did. I did. Jimmy Neese actually helped me a lot during that time with Kyle Peters in the summer. So like there was a lot of people that were helping out, and I made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
I actually showed up in 2004 for this schoolboy class at Loretta's, and my best finish prior to that, I did win a Ponca City on a 65 championship, but other than that, I was 6 to 15.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Well, you can kind of see that, and then you're right.
Yes.
Like this, right in here in this window, something flipped.
Yeah, and then that one I showed up first moto for schoolboy, whole shot, and I won the moto.
Gone.
And everybody, I rember Jason Wigan still brings it up. He's like, "Who is Broc Tickle?" Like that was just something that was always said at that race. And then I made a spot for myself after that, to be honest, in the amateur ranks.
Do you think, because there's a lot of people that talk about vision boards and just putting pen to paper. Do you think you guys having that conversation and saying, yes, I want to be a pro racer? Like, that's my goal, Dad. Do you think that just sort of saying it out loud and kind of making that, or like, this is the goal I want to get to, had an effect?
100%. I mean, between my dad, obviously my mom for letting us do that, and Larry Winters from Serious Racewear, Rusty Reynolds from Triangle Cycles, both of those two guys were my main sponsors, and they were all about that. All about, visualizing and executing.
Yeah.
And that's what they were about. So it's really cool for me to look back on, because if you think about it nowadays, you'll go through some stuff and then you start doing that stuff again, and then something happens. Mm-hmm. And you're like, there it is.
It works.
Yes.
It's like magic.
Yep.
I don't want to get too voodoo, but like, you write something down and put it on your wall every day, like something you want to achieve, and dude, it's wild to watch it happen.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I even from my championship year, I have some notebooks that I kept that I wrote stuff down on, and it's awesome to look at.
Really?
Yes. So I would agree that it's a big part of the game, is believing you can do it.
Yeah, just
doing the things that
writing that goal down tangibly and like having it and looking at it every day.
100%.
It's powerful what it'll do. So in that era, kind of, when you're riding 80s and kind of moving up to big bikes, who are some of the pro guys you were looking up to? Was there local pros in the area? Like, I'm trying to think of.
So in my class, so I'm older. I'm a year older than like Nico and Stroop.
Okay.
So my era at Loretta's, because I think 12 to 13, I want to say, 6th. So it was Sean Hackley in front of me. Who else? Kyle Cunningham. I don't know if he was in front of me, but Kyle Cunningham was the same age. Kyle Chisholm. No, he's older than me at that time. But who else? Josh Hill was my main rival. Like if you want to, he was the top of the line all the way through that. Basically on 80s till big bikes.
Okay.
So
he was the guy you were kind of chasing.
Yes, and then we had like Jace Lewis. Who else? I mean, there was a whole handful of them that we don't even know what they do now. To be honest, obviously we see Sean Hackley goes to Loretta's still, so he's still around the moto scene. But Jace Lewis, after amateurs, I don't think he pursued racing very long. So most of the guys that I was around aren't really around anymore. So
yeah, and it's wild. I think everybody that made it to the professional ranks and had some success, like you look back and go, man, that guy was really good, and he was really good, and he was really good. They just, it's so hard to make it through,
Yep.
It's crazy the talent that just won't make it for one reason or another. What about pro racers though? Like, was there any pro rider you were looking up to or you were riding with?
To be honest, I look back on it because I would have just been, I wish I had a different mindset coming into professional. I just wanted to be top 10. I thought that was a big goal of mine, which I finished top 10 my first outdoor season. So like, I think I set my expectations a little low, but going back to when I was 13, all I wanted to do was do it I wasn't seeing myself winning.
Yeah.
To be honest. And then I started making progress again, and I started feeding it.
Yeah.
And it just led into where I ended up.
Were you a Team Green kid? Like, was there a point where you got some manufacturer help?
So Honda started helping me around 2013
Okay.
through a dealership. And then
2003 here, you mean?
2003, yes.
Yeah.
So this was kind of American Honda supported. And then once I did this, Honda stepped in a little bit and started helping me through the dealership.
Okay.
Triangle Cycles.
Yeah, 2004 in the 125 mod, 12 to
Yep.
15 in stock, you were second and third. That was
Yep.
kind of that jump we were talking about. You went, 10, 14, 6, and then 2, 3. And, man, you were really never off the box one round here, but you could just tell something changed in your
Yes.
program right there. So,
Well, it's pretty cool, actually. I went and looked not that long ago, but 05 and 06, actually, even the other nationals, I was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the classes because you could race 5 classes.
oh, right.
And
At
literally
mini
Oak Hill
O's. Okay.
and Mosier Valley or Oak Hill at the time. But, yeah, literally my results were pretty consistent, and it kind of is a trait that I brought with me
Yeah.
all the way through, So I think looking at what is coming through, the amateur rakes now, I think you can almost predict based off of what they're good at and where they can be kind of, as it stands. Because for me, if you look at it, progression was kind of consistent, but it was never, in my opinion, it was kind of like a wave. I would kind of struggle and then progression and then struggle and then progression. So it was never really a straight uphill.
Yeah.
And that for me is because I think I was always thriving to be someone a lot when I made a lot of progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some patterns you can see.
Yes.
But then if you look at like a Villapoto and a Alessi, if you looked at their Loretta stuff, you go, oh, got to bet the farm on Alessi.
Yes.
RV, he might be okay.
Yes, exactly.
And then that turned out to not be quite right. What do you remember about amateur nationals kind of early on? Do you remember feeling like, man, I can compete at these, or man, I'm a little out of my league, or what was kind of the thought process, and did something really change through there when your results changed?
Yes, 100%. And because it became more serious at that point, and it was serious for me in the beginning, but once my dad and I have that conversation, I think it just sparked for me just to be
a little more chasing girls, playing at the creek.
I mean, whatever. I mean, riding BMX bikes, driving golf carts when you shouldn't, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, my dad was not super strict on me, but we always had a curfew. No, basically my dad watched out for us.
Yeah.
He was looking out for us. So I want to give my dad some credit there, because nowadays I watch and I'm like, wow, I'm just glad I wasn't grown up in this era.
It's weird now, huh? It's different.
Yes.
Just all the way around. I think you
All
guys
the
were
way.
kind of just caught the end of when it was normal.
Yes.
But this social media, it's odd.
Yes.
It's very, very different. Yeah. Okay, so you had the Honda support. Did that ever change? Because if I remember right, weren't you Star Yamaha when you first turned pro?
So I raced Loretta's in 06, so that would be here.
Yep.
Then I drove to Millville with my buddy. In these 3 races.
Yeah.
This race I rode for MDK, so Glen Helen.
Oh,
But
really?
I crashed. I don't remember who was hurt, but basically it was me and Nick Way under the truck.
Okay.
On a Honda.
Okay.
And that week we met with Bobby Reagan and I signed my contract. So that all kind of fell into place, obviously. I didn't get to actually race Broome that year. I signed up, but it was overbooked.
Oh, you're kidding.
So I wasn't able to race Broome Tioga that year either. But I did race 450 actually, those 3 nationals.
Oh, you were on a 450?
Yes. So
Jeez.
so my first national was on a 450.
How was that? At Spring Creek, I mean.
Well, we knew that my amateur 250 at the time was probably not that competitive to the professional level. So for me, obviously coming off, this was the 450 here.
Okay.
I rode the 450 a little bit better at the time.
Were you a bigger kid even then?
Yes, that's one of the reasons why I moved up here in 03 is because I was on the verge.
Yeah.
Like I was probably 140 on a 80.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I was 160 before you knew it, and then now I'm 170. So it's like I've stayed the same since then.
Yeah, so you probably made the right move. And I think Alessi did the same thing. Speaking of Alessi, didn't he ride the 450 up first round? So what was your you make this jump to pro, and you're coming off a 250A championship at Loretta's, right into Millville a week later, 2 weeks later, and got 16th in the 450 class. Tell me just about that experience. You're lining up next to, I'm sure, guys that were
idols, especially in that class. At that time, because I looked up to Chad, Ricky.
I was gonna say 06 was like.
Yeah, I mean, I looked up to a lot of those guys actually.
Stu, RC, Wyndham, all of them. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, actually, it's hard for me to even. I think I was so focused on my own deal then, like it didn't even spark me at the time.
Really?
But like I was obviously nervous, which I think led to myself kind of easing into it, which actually worked out okay. Because I was pretty strong at the end of my motos, and I kind of proved that actually a lot in my amateur career, where if I was behind someone normally towards the end, I would make a pass normally. So for me, I had built some strength in that early on, and I kind of got my feet wet and just, it felt pretty good to go out there. I think first moto at Millville, I want to say I got 11th, so pretty respectful.
Wait, there was the 06. It wasn't the muddy year, was it?
Yes.
Oh,
so second moto was whenever it was super muddy.
That's
and
right.
I struggled. I fell about 10 times. So
that was gnarly.
Yes.
I was doing the commentating.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like it, that mud.
Oh, that hillside was so slippery.
Oh, my gosh. That's right.
I still remember. There's a little clip on, I think, Stonesbury Sandwich by chance. I think that might be the movie. Where you can see me, you can't tell because the bike's all muddy, but you can see someone sliding down the hill sideways and then shoot off the track. That was me.
That was you.
Yes.
Little highlight reel.
Yeah.
In the movie. That's crazy. Okay, so this MDK deal, that was just for the one round?
Yes.
But then you signed with Bobby Regan
that
in
week
07.
At some time, yes.
Okay. And back in those days, they hadn't really won anything yet, right?
No. At the time, it was Martin Davalos in 2006 was competitive. Brian Johnson was on the team. They were making a stride forward in 2006. I think 2005 they raced just 250 Supercross. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty much it was their second year as being like a Yamaha supported, like full man lights program.
It's wild, their progression, like
yes.
I remember back and it might've been the year or two prior to this, but like they were almost like a C-level team, you know, you were looking at Mitch, Factory Connect, like all these other teams. Then it was like, then there was those guys.
Yep.
And man, now they're like premier team running 250 and 450. They have 20 freaking riders under the tent. Like it's impressive what they've done. So credit to that whole team. But as far as you going there, was the bike good right away? Was it a good place for you to kind of land at the time?
100%. For me, it was, I was there for 4 years. I made progress every year. Bobby and I became close. He was like a father figure to me, to be honest. It was at the time. I mean, you look back and if I would look back what I've been through, I would have been like, that team really wasn't that good, but it's just what I needed.
Right.
Because I would be honest to say that me knowing that the bike, once I started gaining confidence, I wanted to beat those other guys on the other teams. Mm-hmm. That motivated me.
Yep.
And that's what I used to create that fuel, I guess you should say, in that scenario. And as we went in 2009, the bike, and 2010, we made a lot of progress with the engine and the chassis. Results started coming. Yeah. More guys started signing on that were competitive. And I think that we kind of made a name for Star at the time to be a team that was one you wanted to ride for.
Yeah, I agree. You were a big part of their curve when they started doing this. Okay, so 07, first full pro season. What stands out to you from that year?
Probably fifth place round one, or round two. So I actually didn't qualify for my first Supercross.
Oh, is that right?
Well, I raced, so I'll take that back. There was a
Atlanta?
Supercross. Yes, that was the first one at 07, but I did race Toronto, whatever race that was. Toronto, it's kind of like the world.
It was World Supercross.
It was World, but I got third. But it was me. Davalos won. I don't remember exactly, but I got third that night.
Okay.
So for me, that was a good stepping stone, kind of
But
get under the
it wasn't
lights.
part of the series yet?
No,
Is
it
that
was
okay.
the year before.
Yeah.
So I didn't qualify for my first official, professional Supercross.
Huh. Just tip overs and
Yes, basically worst cards that I could have dealt myself is what happened. Crash in practice, crash in the heat, crash in LCQ. So it's yes.
happens.
That doesn't line up to qualify.
Was that like a low point for you where you're like, oh man, because you'd come off a podium up in Canada, you probably came down and thought, all right, I'm going to come in and.
No, it felt different to me when I lined up for that.
It did?
One. Yes, it felt. I was like, I'm here. Like this is real now. And to be honest, me getting knocked down a lot of times actually created more drive. To be honest, and that's why that fell into place.
The fifth after.
Yes.
That's those are, you hear that story or the adage. It's not, the successes that make a man, it's his failures and how he responds. It's a saying for a reason.
Yeah.
Because that will send you one of two directions. You either go, man, that's never happened to me again, and you dig in, or you go, oh man, maybe I wasn't meant for this. You know what I mean? It either crushes you or you say absolutely not. So I think it's obvious which way you went here. My first Supercross was in Houston in 1993, and my mechanic left a rag in my airbox when we went up for the LCQ. I crashed in the heat, go up for the LCQ, and the thing just won't run on the line. And so, pulled out.
Yep.
And he comes up afterwards, and Pat Alexander from Suzuki is like, sounds like there's something in the airbox. My mechanic pulls the filter out. He's like, oh, it's like one of those red rags, Anyway.
That doesn't work either.
That doesn't work either. It's just funny though, but you take those losses, those low moments, and I was kind of the same way as you. I'd get so mad, and I would use it to fuel me.
Yeah, and I didn't. To be honest, I actually didn't show it much either. Yeah. It was within. It was
just internalized.
Yes, it was internal. And once we got into outdoors, I would say that year, I really found my stride. I had I feel like really good rides for myself and for Star Racing at the time. We were in the top 10 quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. Do you feel like moto came a little more natural to you? Or?
Yes, 100%.
Did it really?
Yeah. Like Supercross for me, even nowadays, if, obviously now it's, I don't have to race and go fast. But for me, I still have to jump the jumps and, do that. Sometimes when we take months off and I go ride, I'm like, man, I lost it.
Yeah.
But that's just a thought.
Yeah.
You do a couple laps and you're like, oh, it's back.
It does come back.
Yes.
But it's sketchy. Look out at the triples. If you're just standing at them, you're like, oh, man, those are big.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the rest of your 07 here. What from that summer you got, man, a bunch of top 10s like you're talking about, 7, 8, 9, 8. Those are good, even compared to your Supercross results.
Yes.
Those are good.
Yep. And then the next season actually was a struggle. So I ended up going to MTF in 08. For the off-season 07, we were about 2 weeks out for first race and shattered my elbow. So missed all of Supercross.
Okay. I was going to ask what happened because I didn't show you any results. So tell me about MTF. I've never been to one of these camps. And it's like, it seems like now you kind of have to be at one, in one way, shape, or form or another. The old model of just kind of doing your own thing doesn't seem to fly anymore. What's your take on this as a guy who's lived through it?
For me, it was, I've only really done it really at that time. And it was honestly really good for me because I was riding with people. Mm-hmm. A lot of my preparation, for amateurs was either with the treadles or racing on the weekends. That was it. Mm. But I will say that I do think pulling these kids away from racing as much locally, it does impact them, I think, negatively at some sort.
Yeah.
Because they're not racing as much. And I think the more gate drops you can get, and I feel like that's even slowed down even more as the years have gone by. I feel like now it's like we're staying here and we're training, but the gate drops are what create the confidence and.
Well, and you're creating racecraft.
Yes.
You just can't do that in a simulated environment.
Yep.
The adrenaline's different. Just the intensity is different. It's different.
No stress either. Like, you don't have to be good either.
No, there's no. Yeah, it's just different. And you're right. As every year that passes, I feel like the number of races these amateur kids do just gets less and less.
Yep.
No, we're going to stay here and just do laps, and we're going to work on this. And it's like, that's great.
Yep.
But man, you need to get out and race, you know?
Yep. Even if it's like, even if you were in California here, like even if it's REM or whatever.
And there's nothing, dude.
Yes.
There's like one local series.
Yep.
It's weird. It's super weird to me because,
Yes.
you know, my era, everyone before me, I don't know when it kind of changed, I guess around this window, but like you raced. If it
Yes.
wasn't a national, you found a money race, you found something and you went and raced.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just odd to me. But there's value in that weekday practicing together. And was Colleen kind of the coach?
Yes, Colleen was the coach there. I mean, obviously I had a lot of good guys to ride with. I think at that time, I don't remember everyone that was there, but obviously Marty was there. Stephen Clark, who else? I mean, there was a handful of guys. Still, you know, they were competitive.
Yeah.
So
a lot of these places I look at who the riding coach is, and I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, I'm like either don't know who the guy is,
Yep.
or it's someone's mom, and I'm just thinking that's okay. I mean, you know, is it kind of like, do they really bring a lot to the table, or is it more just sort of the group function?
yeah, I think it's more the group function of everybody kind of doing things together. And then obviously I don't know all the ins and outs of the training facilities that
Yeah.
are available, but I think just getting them in that structure of doing things together and
Yeah.
then like somewhat holding them accountable to do their motos, you know what I mean? All
Yeah.
the above. I think
Yeah.
it's great for you. But at the end of the day, I think that also creates, like you spoke earlier, someone who might not really want to do it sometimes, do it. You know what I mean? It kind of puts them in a position like, this is what we're doing. And then they end up riding the wave and then decide, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a catch-22 there, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like a change in our sport that I kind of just like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing now. But it sure seems weird that nobody races. You know, some of these guys race 5-6 times a year,
Yep.
like crazy numbers.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, I'd be so nervous, you know, like,
100%.
gosh, go get some gate drops in. Anyway. Okay, so take me into season 2. Did you have a multi-year deal with Bobby when you?
No.
Oh, no.
No, actually, I got re-signed from 07 for 1 year for 08.
Grenaded your elbow. Is that this scar here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So all my contracts with Star were all 1 year.
Okay.
So 08 was a really challenging outdoor season, as you can see. I think Freestone I did good because it was hot, and my speed was not good at this time. I was lacking strength and strength in my arm and a lot of things, to be honest. And
that place got hotter than any.
oh, it was so hot.
I think it was might have been 08. No, it was later. It was 10 because I was there with Townley.
Yep.
And dude, I was pouring water down their back when they'd come through one of these tight corners.
Yep.
Because they were dying.
Yeah, it was hot that year.
So your fitness, or maybe you just have like just a good engine where you can suffer.
Yes,
is that kind
that's kind of what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. I'm
Yep.
like a diesel.
So you had a 5th at the end of that year though, so it seems like it kind of kicked.
That's
kicked
the
up.
finish I do believe that set me in to stay where I was.
Is that right? Yeah, 5th at Steel City. That's
Yes,
a dang
'cause
good
prior
run.
to that, look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
not very mediocre.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a 7th at Freestone, but other than that, 5th place, there wasn't much on the paper that was very good.
Yeah. So Bobby signed you on again for 09.
Yep.
Does the elbow ever bother you?
I mean, it won't straighten. That's as straight as I can get it, but it doesn't really bother me, actually.
Okay.
Basically, what I was doing was wheel tapping whoops, like
When you
skimming
did it?
them. Yes, but
Yeah.
it was like I thought it was fast. And when I wasn't trying to be cool, and I just looped out.
Mm-hmm.
So like
And it landed like this. And
no, like this. So like I looped out and landed like that on the whoop. So.
Ugh.
So yeah, that was actually looking back on it, another thing, like all this struggling here created me to finish well and then get another chance at it, you know? So
Yeah, and it seems like things went better in 09.
So I think us that year kind of as a team, we had Michael Hall, Matt Lemoyne, Darren Durham, and myself. And we were all like we were all training with Rhino at the time. and we were doing motos together. We were training together. Like, it kind of had that feeling of like, I like this. And to me, that was new at the time.
You guys were out here in California?
Yep.
Okay.
We would go out to Rhino Land at the time, do supercross, and then on the way home, go to his house right here in Temecula, work out, and kind of that was a stepping stone for me too.
Yeah.
Because all of us working together, you know, I'm like, this is good for me.
Yeah.
And
Michael Hall, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah,
either.
I know.
He was fast.
Yes.
Lemoyne, he was fast.
Yes.
I mean, those are good kids. So, you started at Daytona, which I thought that was weird. Is there another round I'm missing, or
broke my jaw at Anaheim 1 on press day. The race that JG won. On JGR.
Yeah.
And Jake Weimer won. That triple that was against third baseline, I cased it so bad on press day and shattered my jaw.
Gosh, I vaguely remember that.
So I was able to race East Coast
switched to the East Coast.
because of that. And I want to say I missed 2 or 3 rounds. But yes, I came back and I was right where I needed to be.
Yeah, man. So 8-8 and then a third, your first podium at Toronto that year. How was that? That's always a good feeling.
The track was so technical, and it was right up my alley.
Yeah.
It was about hitting your marks and not
Soft.
rushing. Yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that race, I was like, wow, that was easy. And you know how that goes. That's normally how it feels.
Yep. It's usually when you end up on the box, you're
Yes.
like, really?
Yeah.
You almost feel like you didn't deserve it because you didn't work that hard.
Yep.
I've had those. All right, so let's get into nationals. Great finishes again, 6, 7, 6, 5 at Spring Creek. You know, you have to look at Supercross versus nationals and go, it's twice as many good guys outdoors. Yeah. So your results actually get better.
Yes.
That's a pretty...
And I had some really good moto finishes. Which race was it? Maybe
again
Thunder
at Unadilla.
Valley. So this was a 6, but I want to say I went 3-8. So
really?
At that time, I would say there was about 12 guys that were really, really good.
Okay.
And it was about the start and kind of how you felt on that track, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting because there was a group of us, probably 5 of us, that could fight for a podium spot if we were in the right place at the right time.
And 09, so that would have been like Kennard.
Weimer won, let's see, Colorado, Redbud, Budds Creek that year. Okay. That was when it was super muddy. I don't know if you remember that race too. 09
Which
when
one?
It flooded Budds Creek. It flooded so bad the lake right there where the start is now was overfilling into the track.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was brutal. Okay, so 09 probably your best season.
Yes.
Right, so far. And you're like just kind of like your Loretta's results. You had this steady progression, right?
Yep.
Every year it was like, okay, now I got some top 5s, then we got a podium. A win comes the next year, you know. So so pretty good. So again, another year with Bobby.
Yep.
Tell me about kind of going into 2010. Did you have a different mindset? I mean, after a podium, do you kind of like, okay, I can win? Did you believe that at this point?
No, I did not believe that.
Yeah.
I believed I should be on the podium.
Okay.
At the time, I thought that the star, team at the time was not as good as the other teams. So for me, that was a kind of a block for me, a little bit.
At this point, yeah.
But I got better with it, obviously. And for myself, I was like, you want to beat them. If you beat them, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So any chance, obviously, if I was in the scenario or the headspace to do so, I tried my best to beat any one of those guys that were on either PC or Geico at the time.
Well, and to be really fair, from like 04 until at least this point,
yep,
Mitch's bikes were so much better than everybody.
Yep.
Long story, he hired a guy named Drino Miller from Porsche who knew 4-stroke motors like nobody. And man, if you go back and watch like Tedesco, all the guys he had on the team, it was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yep.
That's not taking anything away from those guys. They were incredible. But if you were on Mitch's bike, you had a little extra something.
Well, I just remember 07. Actually, 07 outdoors, I'm lined up next to 2 of them, and I'm like, my bike doesn't sound like that. And it wasn't nothing against Star, but I'm like, that's the fact.
No, it was just reality.
Yes.
Yeah, and then when Geico finally started doing their own in-house engine package, they got really close.
Yep.
But there was a period of time there, Mitch was how to jump on everybody. And
I would agree.
It was pretty blatant.
Yes.
Okay, so take me into 2010. You kicked the season off in Anaheim to 6th. Were you kind of like, man, really?
Well, I want to say I won the heat race, actually. Anaheim won.
Okay.
So I set the marker high. I came in more prepared, more confident than the year before.
Okay.
And I knew that. Like, I was in a good place. Riding wise, I was having fun, whether it would be at the test track or out in the hills. Actually, during these 2 years, I actually rode a lot in the hills.
Did you?
Like, if it rained at all, we were going to the hills. Even if it
Would you guys just do jumps, or were you guys like laying out tracks and motoing?
We would do both, like whatever. I mean, we didn't know much because I wasn't with people that knew it very well out in Beaumont, and we went to Ritchie a couple times. But like at that time, it was honestly, I think I remember in 2010, it was before we flew to San Francisco. I think it rained, and we were maybe going to get one day of riding in before we left. And I loaded up and went out to the hills, and then the team calls me and is like, "Hey, the track looks like it's good enough to ride." So I loaded up, and then I went straight to the track.
From the hills to the track?
Yes. So, like, some stuff like that. It's just a cool story, actually, for me to look back on. Because, like, nowadays I would look at that as wasting time. But I was having fun. I was a kid.
We all did that in my era, like the old days. If it rained, we could ride the tracks whenever.
Yeah.
Like, we got to the hills, and it wasn't just sending some big jump. It was like we'd find some little technical hip, or to me, there was a lot of value in that, in bike control and learning what your bike can do, and I don't know, just feeling comfortable on your motorcycle. And everybody was doing it,
And on top of that, you're having fun with all your friends.
Totally. And I get it. You can't do that all the time, but man, to take a day once in a while and just go. These kids today are like, they can't do it.
Yep.
They're like, no, I gotta do 3 12s.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Or no, I got to go to the gym after. Or no, I need to do a bike ride after. It has shifted that way.
Yeah, a little too much. Do you think?
For some of the age groups, yes.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the circumstance. I would say.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's cool to hear you went out and actually enjoyed that, because
yes.
When it rains out in these hills, there's nothing better.
No.
It is, especially with your group of your buddies. It's so fun.
Much fun. Yeah.
A bunch of guys went this week, and I was like, because I kind of had a cold. I'm like, man, I can jump the big stuff I used to, but it's still just laying out a track.
Yes.
Or
the dirt where the grass is. Oh, man.
Unreal.
Oof. So much fun.
Yeah. It almost makes Southern California traffic worth it. Almost. Not quite.
Yeah, so for 2010, I would say, I started off well, but obviously you see there San Francisco, a podium.
Yep.
And that kind of set the marker for myself. Even the 5th, I was actually disappointed at that race. I actually remember that. I felt like I should have been on the podium.
Yeah. Well, this was I was managing Troy's team this year, and this was Cole and Will.
Yep.
My guys were second and third.
Yes.
So that was like a huge night for us, having both guys on the podium. But I remember them. They were constantly battling with you.
Yep. I think even San Francisco, me and Cole exchanged, I want to say a couple times. Maybe even Will got a bad start, and he was chasing me the whole race. And I don't remember who was leading, but yeah, either way. And actually, Will was really good that year.
Will was great that year.
Really good that year.
Yep. And Cole came. I mean, they both were right.
Yes.
So take me through Seattle. I don't remember your Anaheim 3. I forgot we had 3 Anaheims, but you got second. Did Weimer win that one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember either. But I do remember your win.
Yes.
That track was mush.
Oh, it was.
I remember the whoops. Wasn't it just like a big porridge?
Yeah, there was ruts all the way through. And actually, if you go back and watch even the 450, like you see Wyndham, he won. But he's literally got his feet lifted up off the pegs, and he's just got them picked up just sitting down through the whoops because it was that bad.
Yeah, I remember it just looked like oatmeal. I mean, just,
yes,
plowing through.
Honestly, looking back on it, it's pretty sketchy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even a couple years after that, they fixed the dirt there where it was somewhat raceable, to be honest, but it was always soft,
Yeah.
But, I would say the worst was 2010. 2011 was soft, too.
Yeah, it seems like it always is. I wish they'd either, find stadiums that have roofs or stay away from them that time of year. But anyway, tell me what that did for just your mental aspect. I mean, I love asking guys that because I remember my first win and how it changed just everything. You're like, oh, it's possible, and then what that does for you on the bike is crazy.
Yeah, I want to say around that time, I knew Pro Circuit was probably going to hire somebody, and it would probably happen before this that I started thinking about it. Okay. I was like, I think it's time for me to change. Like, I need to change. But I was like, if I'm going to commit to it, I have to continue on, where I'm at. And now that I look at it, I basically played a game with myself. Like I said, I use those guys as leverage in my own head.
Yeah.
And in 2010, I would say more so than any other because I was the most confident in myself at that time professionally. And then it led to it. Through outdoors, I was consistently around the 5th place mark, I believe. And right there with all those guys,
Yeah.
And for me,
you were top 10, dude. Literally, dude. You were never out of the top 10.
Yeah. Very consistent.
Your worst finish was a 10th at Southwick.
Yeah. So that year was really solid, obviously, looking at the paper. I haven't looked at it like this in a while. It's actually pretty cool to look at. But
that's a hell of a summer, dude.
But I think what race was it? Let's see. Around this time, I was going into Mitch's office already.
Okay.
And I didn't stop.
Yeah.
I was going.
So tell me about that, because I know this is like – Mitch is so funny. He's like – he wants you to play the game, and it's like he just wants to see how bad you want it. Are you really going to come in here and just be uncomfortable and sit in my office? And that's what he wants to see.
Well, I'll be honest. The people around me told me that's how he was. I was doing it.
Yeah.
I was living it.
And it's uncomfortable, right?
Well, for me, it was awkward because I'm pretty socially that's not who I am, like to be very outgoing initially until I meet someone. And for me, I was doing it. And that shows you right there, I made a choice in my head that I was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I went in there morning, and if he wasn't there, drive back at night. And I did it for at least a month, at least.
Every day?
Yes, during the week. And if I knew they were flying or we were going to the races or whatever, during the week I was trying to make my presence. Because people close to me that knew him and knew how he operated were like,
you got to be here.
This is what you have to do.
Yeah, it's true. It's so, and it is the most uncomfortable, because Mitch can make anybody uncomfortable.
Yes.
There's something about that guy. You know him well, having ridden for him now and stuff, but like if he's in a good mood, nobody cooler.
Yes.
Like you just want to sit down and have a beer with him and just talk, because he's got stories and he's funny, he's engaging. But when he's in a bad mood, holy cow, he can make you feel like an idiot.
Yes. I got to actually see that in 2012. He made me feel very small, and it was for a good reason. I was struggling.
Yeah.
We went to 450s after championship year, and oh man, I was struggling bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't figure this out.
That was riding for him?
Yes. So 12, because in 11 I won the championship.
So 11 you signed with him, right?
Yes.
That did. So the plan worked.
Yes.
Was there a day he kind of broke and went, all right, come in here, let me talk to you? Or how did that go?
I was consistent. And then I think he called me. He's like, I need you to come down to the office. And that's whenever I knew something was about to happen.
Okay.
Because he was never like that before.
Right.
Honestly, a lot of times I would go in, I'd be like, I'm here to see Mitch. I'd walk in the front. Because I didn't feel like I would deserve to walk in the back.
Right.
So they'd be like, oh, he's busy right now. And then I'll be like, I'll wait, and then I'll finally go back there. And he's like, what can I help you with? And so like, for me, I was like, I don't know. The chances don't seem very high for this happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked out.
He's such a dick. What do you want, man?
Yes.
What are you doing? Oh, that's hilarious.
But I was consistent. I did what the people around me told me I should do if I wanted it, and it worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so 1 year deal with him in 2011?
No, it was a 2-year.
2 year deal.
But obviously the rule book at the time we didn't pay attention to because I was already pro for, I don't know exactly the rule book.
Oh yeah, the 250 rules changed so many times, dude.
So basically I won this year. I wasn't able to race
at the time you didn't get another year.
Yes. So basically, after Supercross, I won. Then there was talk going around the paddock, and then Mitch and everybody pulled me in a room because we were like, well, what are we going to do? You know? So basically, he's like, we'll build you a 450.
That's right. I remember that. Okay. That's all coming back to me now.
So I was a lone soldier kind of on the 450, learning, testing with Bones. Actually, that's when I learned a lot about testing because that was a new bike for Bones at a race team level,
right.
For the most part.
Right.
And yeah, that's where I learned a lot, I think.
Okay, so take me through this championship season. Getting off the star bike onto Mitch's bike, how big of a change did you notice? Were you just like, oh?
First day, I remember I was so happy. I went and rode, and then I was so ecstatic. I remember the off season even. It's kind of a joke. I felt sweet. No, I felt sweet.
Yeah.
Yep, I felt really sweet.
That'll happen when you put that much horsepower in you.
Yeah, so like chassis, engine, obviously for me was huge.
Yeah.
And then I think the confidence leading into it, it kind of speaks for itself. 2010 was very consistently strong, and that led into me here. And actually a week before, Mitch likes to wait to give you which coast you're going to do.
Yeah.
Well, in the off season, I actually didn't have much structure, to be honest, with my riding. Okay. I was just whatever. And I remember it was like 1 week before A1. They're like, all right, we're going to have everybody do a moto. And not together, but like we want to see everybody at least do a moto.
Yeah.
Because they never seen me do a moto. And I did it, and I passed the test, and I was racing.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. Like,
was that good? Were you excited about that, or were you like, oh boy?
Well, no, actually, it was for me to prove a point, actually. Because, I think the talk was, we've never seen Broc do a full moto yet. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I was like, oh, okay. That's how I thought as a young kid at the time. I was like, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably your strength.
Yes,
Time.
exactly.
So, I'm trying to remember 2011. Didn't it come down? It was really close in Vegas.
Yes.
Was it Cole?
No, it was Tomac. But Hanny, going into Salt Lake City, had the points lead.
And he was riding for KTM? Husky?
No, he was on PC. He was my teammate.
That's right. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So then Hanny collided with Eli at this race.
Okay.
I fumbled a little bit actually in this race, to be honest.
Didn't Hanny win like the first two, and then he blew someone off a berm at LA?
Yes.
He was getting into all kinds of trouble, I remember.
Yes.
And then he broke his hand or something. Okay.
So A2 he broke his hand.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yes, but I think he still was on the podium that night. Actually, these two races, the way it started, I was so hungry because the first one I led for 12 laps.
Okay.
And he passed me 3 to go. Then round 2, leading again, washed the front end. Mm. So those failures, I guess you would call them failures at the time, was what kept me I want to win.
Just kept you driving.
Yes, exactly.
And he was good that year.
Oh, really good.
Good grief. He was, I think that was the best he ever was.
Yes.
Speed-wise.
I would agree.
Wild how fast he was. Yeah, and I can't remember who he blasted someone. Maybe it was Kennard. I can't really remember. He blew someone out of their shoes at LA.
Really?
Yeah, and I remember thinking, oh, boy.
Because Cole won that race, right?
Yeah.
I think Cole
that
won.
Was Cole's
that was first win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so you go to Oakland and get another win. Tell me about that one.
Honestly, that was another one that was easy.
Just easy.
Was it
muddy?
Felt like it was wet a little bit.
Okay.
And, yeah, I just got
easy.
I'm not saying it was easy, but it came natural to me.
Yeah.
I had the flow on the track, and I just connected the dots, and, yeah, it was good.
Was that if you had to weigh that against your Seattle win?
Pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
Yeah. Not the conditions. More so just how it felt for me. It wasn't that difficult.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I felt like I was doing max effort, to be honest. But that's a good thing.
Something I mention on here once in a while, it's like guys that make it to the pro level and have any level of success, they were usually standouts in their area, right? I'm sure in North Carolina, you won all the local stuff. You went to regional stuff. You'd win championships. You won a title at Loretta's. You won a lot. And then you move up to the pro class, and it's like you stop winning.
Yep.
And for some people, they'll never win again. Or it can be years and years. I mean, shoot, you went how many years? 3 years before, and you didn't win unless you raced something local. But on a pro level, which is now your job, you don't win.
Yep.
And it's very, very hard mentally to stay believing, to stay in the game. And so when we talk about these wins, that's why I just ask, what did that do for you? Because, man, like it was such a shot in the arm for me because, like I said, you go a while. I think I went 3 or 4 years without winning anything.
Yep.
And you finally win again. You're like, yeah, it's just such a good feeling,
No, like that one stands out more 2010 because I guess it was the first one in so long.
Yeah.
But I think also those little heat race wins and stuff like that can give you that type of feeling too because it's still a race. And the guys that I think are, say they are a 7th place guy, if they can start winning heat races, that's going to start, it'll pay off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point. You got to start somewhere, even if it's an LCQ.
Yep.
It's like, okay, I can win something,
yes.
Even if it's this. Time qualifying,
Yep.
You got to find those wins where you can. But it is a mental
relief.
And it's a challenge when you go all these years without winning again,
Yep.
So
like, can I still win? Or is it something that's possible for me anymore?
And it almost falls off your radar. Like, you don't even have that as a goal anymore. You're like, okay, I want to get on the podium.
Yep.
You've forgotten about winning.
Yep.
And you're just hoping to get on the podium.
Yep.
It'll change your mindset without you even knowing.
Yes.
Because at some point, we're all dealing in reality. It's like, okay, well, I've gone 4 years, 5 years, I haven't won anything.
Yep.
Why do I think I'm just going to win?
Yep.
So, anyway, that's why I ask. I just find it an interesting phenomenon that our sport deals with. Okay, so take me through the rest of that season. I mean, you were 2-2, 4-1, 4-3, 3-3, 2, like super consistent, man.
Yeah, so this was I watched this race on TV and
Vegas.
I'm like,
I remember
how was I not nervous?
Yeah, I remember it being like you guys, whoever beat whoever, right? It was really, really close.
It was 2 points and it was a east-west race too. So like it was everyone.
Yeah. I hate that they do that, dude. I really feel like the championship should be decided, then do the East-West shootout.
Well, and at that time, Cunningham started making strides. And then Cole was making strides, and he was still there. Then Kenny was starting to finally click for his first season, So Kenny won. I got second. Eli got third. Or Cunningham got third, then Eli. But it all happened within the last 3 laps of the race.
Yeah.
Literally, me and Eli were 9-10 in the beginning. And then we shuffled our way forward, but it was always like this the whole race.
And you, at the time, you were just sort of locked in?
No, it's like I watch it on, YouTube. I'm like, man, that was stressful. I can't even watch it right now.
Yeah.
And then, but when I reflect on what I felt in the moment, I'm like, I'm right where I need to be. There was no stress.
Gosh, that's crazy. Well, you obviously have a really strong capacity to just sort of block stuff out and focus on what you're doing.
Yep.
And that is hard. In a situation like that, that's hard.
Yep.
People don't understand that pressure.
Because, like, even if if you were in a different headspace, you start 9th and 10th, and you're like, I could just see yourself going berserk. I could see it happening easy.
I hate to bring this up, but, like, look at Savachi.
Yep.
The year that Osborne won. I mean,
yep.
All-time meltdown. And I'm not knocking him.
Yes.
Like I said, I felt that pressure. I get it. It's wild.
Yeah.
He is a way better rider than what he showed in those 15 laps.
Yes.
And no, not taking anything away from Zacho because that was a crazy ride, but it's so hard to block that stuff out and just focus. So,
well, in each rider,
kudos, man.
Yeah, I think it's cool, like, to look at on now that I'm, here still. You can start to pick guys apart. You can start to understand them from the outside, even if it's in my own head.
Yeah.
But you can start to, like, see how they react to pressure.
Yeah.
You can see how, or even see how they are doing. I guess not stressed. There's certain guys that you can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cool to look at.
Yeah, I know. I want to get in those guys' heads, the guys that don't feel that pressure.
Yeah.
Or, like I had Dungy on here tell me when the 30-second card would go up, because I would just be so nervous and full of self-doubt. Like, can I do this? Am I going to be able to? I'm like, bro, you were never off the podium. Like, how were you doubting yourself? And he goes, well, I don't know, but I always did. And then as soon as the card would go sideways, he's like, just everything would go quiet, and I just kind of did my thing.
Yeah. Like, me hearing that doesn't surprise me because, like, it's like his mind was playing a trick for him to get the best out of himself. And he trained himself that way. Not saying he was doing it on purpose, but it seems like that's something that was common.
Maybe to bring
you know
up
what I
his
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
That's what I mean. Everybody's different.
But I just would say, like, Dunge, if you can't be confident, then like nobody else has a chance.
Yes.
You know, like on your worst night, you were third.
Yes.
Like, come on, man. But it was just interesting to hear a guy of that level say he's
Feel
still
that way.
Yeah, he's still going through it on the line.
Yep.
Pushing his bike to his gate, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know where to go." Like,
Yep.
Reed's over here. Oh no, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I just would imagine him being like McGrath.
Cool.
I don't know if you remember Jeremy pushing his bike to the line.
I could just see it.
His eyes would just cut through you.
Yeah.
Like, he had those guys beat before they even rolled in.
Yep.
And you'd think a guy like Dundee would have that kind of same thing. And anyway, different for everybody.
Yes.
Take us through sort of, you wrap this thing up. And if I remember right, you stopped on top of a jump and a group of you guys
Yep.
kind of collected.
It was
right?
me, Seeley, and Cunningham.
Okay.
Yep.
What's going through just take me through that emotion right there.
Wow. At the time, it didn't even feel real. It took a while for that to actually like pass, actually,
Yeah.
to be honest, because my summer was not very good.
Afterwards?
And I believe that's because I accomplished something so big that I didn't reset or think ahead. I was so focused on getting this done that whenever this was, sealed and delivered, I really didn't have a focus.
Yeah, right.
And I struggled actually pretty bad in the summer. So it's crazy how you can go from such a high.
Yeah.
And in that summer, I felt like I failed, to be honest, at the end of it.
It's common though, dude. The Supercross hangover is super common because you're not thinking about
Yep.
whatever the first round was. That's not even, you're like, look, I got to get through Vegas. Then I'll
Yes.
figure the rest of the crap out. So you have 2 weeks to absorb what just happened to you, biggest event in your life, and reset. And, there's just no way. There's no way, I don't think, to get it done that quickly.
Especially since it was new to me, being in that scenario where I was fighting for a championship, because prior to that, that wasn't even in my mind.
Right. Was it weeks until it kind of like sank in, or was just?
It was probably a couple weeks. And then honestly, like, it was something I leaned on during the time of the summer where I was struggling. I was like, you just won the championship, relax. Like, I was being too hard on myself.
Right.
And I was putting too much pressure on myself to perform. And it was pretty tough, actually.
So this is our Seat Concepts hot seat question. You guys need a seat, go to the boys at Seat Concepts. What was the hardest thing about winning that championship? When you look back at it, like, what was the most difficult thing for you?
I guess staying as calm as I did, to be honest, because even in here when I wasn't really in it, I was, but, I wasn't looking at that. And I think that's important maybe for me to reflect on, and I think maybe all of us can reflect on in there, is like I wasn't focused on the end goal then. I was focused on what was happening each week.
Week to week.
Yes, and I think that's very important. Actually, that's a good question, because I look at it and it wasn't like anything stood out to me, Like I was good, but every time I went on the bike and rode, I was focused on that moment.
Well, that gets a lot of people is counting points up when it's like, dude, you're way too early for that. That's something maybe you do before the last round or two. So for you to be able to just stay focused week to week is huge. Not easy though.
Yes.
I mean, you probably, when you're fourth here at Anaheim too, going, okay,
I was pretty pissed.
Who's in front of me? Oh, he's in front of me in the points, or I can give some points up to him. But dude, I remember doing that crap, and it doesn't do you any good.
No.
So if you can just stay like weekend to weekend, man.
Well, and I think that it plays a part in how the year was before it. It kind of led straight into it. And then at this time, I was very big into visualizing what was going to happen.
2010, the year before?
Yes, that's when this is when it clicked up a gear, is when I started visualizing myself accomplishing these things. And that win in Oakland, actually, it's weird because I watched the race and I actually see that like I've seen it before. It's weird.
Is that right?
Like, I remember myself
like almost deja vu?
it. Yes, it's like a deja vu feel. When I see that race on YouTube, I've seen it before, and I'm like, that seems like I've seen it before it happened. So, so for me, there was a lot of things here, I think, that happened mentally where I started programming myself to believe I belong there.
Yeah. They say if you do a good job visualizing something, like adding context and smells and sounds and just like really making it real, your brain doesn't know the difference between actually doing it and visualizing it.
Yep.
That's crazy to me.
Powerful.
Yeah, the old squirrely, squishy brain is pretty strong. If you feed it the right stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna take a little break here, and we're gonna pick it up 2012 because there is a lot of stuff that went down. I want to talk about that 450 deal.
Yep.
But this is your Troy Lee Designs timeout. We're gonna take a quick pause here. We'll be back with more Broc Tickle. Stick around.
There's a new product on the market that's going to help you with your riding and racing, and it's Elevate Action Sports. If you've not yet gone and checked it out at elevateactionsports.com, it's a collective of riding coaches, the likes of which has never been put together. Grant Langston, Ryan Hughes, Jeff Emick, Johnny Campbell, and myself, David Pingree, bringing all of our years of experience in professional racing to one place with professionally produced videos and all kinds of supporting staff to help you with your mental side of racing, your physical side, your bike setup, your bike maintenance. We cover it all. Get to Elevate Action Sports right now and join the community.
Dunlop. There is a reason every AMA championship in the past decade was won on Dunlop tires. They are the best. Choose the best performing tire and a brand that has never wavered in their support of our sport. Choose Dunlop. Pro Circuit. Pro Circuit products are designed with one goal in mind: winning. Through passion and hard work, Pro Circuit has operated the most successful 250 team in the history of the sport. They use that same formula when developing exhaust, engine, and suspension parts for every brand. When only the highest level of performance is acceptable, trust Pro Circuit.
At Seat Concepts, our handcrafted seats are made in America. Visit us online or call today. Seat Concepts. Ride the world with us.
Something from nothing. That's what Nihilo Concepts is about. It starts with a spark, an idea, a concept, which leads to a design, and finishes with engineered excellence with the highest quality products created with durability in mind. All our products are made in the USA at our state-of-the-art facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you are a weekend warrior, ride for fun, or at the highest level of competition, Nihilo Concepts offers innovative titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber parts for your dirt bike. We offer a wide variety of products that you can customize to your liking. Browse our site for foot pegs, brake tips, engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, lever grips, carbon fiber components, motor stands, our secondary on-switch, plus much more. Head to NihiloConcepts.com and see for yourself why factory teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs Gas, Orange Brigade, Club MX, KLM Gas, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts.
Specialized Bicycles. Specialized leads the way in the world of bicycling. Whether it's cross-country racing, downhill, e-bikes, enduro, road, gravel, dual slalom, dirt jumping, or all mountain bikes that do it all, Specialized has the perfect ride for you. The brand is synonymous with engineering excellence and innovation that steers the industry. Visit your local Specialized dealer for a test ride and see just how good Specialized products are.
I try to keep on keeping on.
With a rich history in motocross, Pro-X has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. Whether you're rebuilding an engine or just need a new chain, Pro-X Racing Parts aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. ProX has over 9,000 part numbers and over 60 different product types that are manufactured by highly reputable or even OEM suppliers and are offered at affordable prices to help keep riders on the bike instead of in the garage. Visit ProX.com to search parts for your bike or check them out at your favorite online or local dealer.
All right, welcome back, guys. That was your Troy Lee Designs timeout. Get over to TLD and check out all the stuff they've got going on. The helmet paint department is cranking. Troy's designs over there are unrivaled. Also, all the new SE helmets are out. The mountain bike line's out. So anything you want, TLD's got. And those guys are blending speed and style like nobody else. I love it. We're stoked to have them on board. All right, getting back to Broc Tickle's story here. We're going to pick it up at 2012. So you won the 250 West Championship in 2011. Man, it's just such a I know some people might poo-poo a 250 title, but it's like they are so hard to win. Any championship in this sport. And so, like, I tip my cap to you, man. It's a huge accomplishment because they don't hand those suckers out.
No, I'm very thankful for that one. That was actually, that's what set the tone for the rest of it, to be honest.
Is that right?
100%.
Yeah, I think you learn something about yourself when you can accomplish something like that, and it just puts you into another stratosphere, man. And it's like, I say this all the time, there's a lot of guys who want to move up, but you really don't get the opportunity until you win a 250 title, and there's a reason for that.
Yep.
Because if you can't win here, you aren't going to win here.
Yep.
So, like, why would a team even, it's like you've got to prove yourself here first. So, anyway, you did that. So let's preface this here with you kind of got hosed down by the AMA, and this has happened. Oh my gosh. If we go back, the number of times they've changed the point out rule for the 125/250 class, we fill a whole book up with rule changes. And they're looking for that perfect balance, like back in the 90s, from the time that class started in 85 until sometime in the last 6-7 years, it was in just constant flux. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, try this. Let's go to this. Let's switch to this. And guys in the early days were pointing out, like after a season or two, which ruined a lot of careers. Buddy Antonez had to move up way too quickly. Denny Stevenson way too quickly. A lot of guys back then. Smash cut to 2011. There is a rule, no matter, regardless of the year that you win your title, you always get a year to defend it. That was not the case for you in 2011. They had not implemented that rule yet. It was it 3 years of 100 points or more or something?
Something of that nature.
Whatever it was, and you were out.
Yep.
So you had signed a 2-year deal with Mitch, but now he's in a tough spot because he's like, well, I'm a 250 team. You can't ride 250s. Doesn't surprise me at all that he did the right thing and said, I'll tell you what, let's just take you racing on the 450. Now, did you stay 450 summer and everything the whole year?
Yes.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yes.
Because he could have said, well, we'll do it for Supercross, but then you're back on a 250 outdoors.
Well, it almost happened. So I don't remember who got hurt, but actually there was 2 guys hurt. Then Ivan filled in. I don't know if you remember Ivan racing for Mitch that summer.
Oh, man.
So literally 2 weeks before Hangtown, we went out to the track. I was already prepared on the 450 to go racing.
Okay.
And he's like, I want you to ride the 250. And I was terrible on it.
Oh, really?
So that it worked in my favor because obviously for me at the time, I knew the 250 class wasn't really going to help me get a 450 ride.
Right.
So that worked out in my favor, and the outdoor season actually was a big step in the right direction for me.
Yeah. Good. All right. Well, I want to hear about it. Let's start with Supercross, though. So how was it jumping up to that big bike? In the past, I feel like looking at your amateur career and stuff, you're comfortable on the 450. It's not like it's a stretch, but jumping up to that level is a tall order. So tell me about that transition to the big bike, and especially with a team that isn't technically a 450 team. Doesn't mean they aren't capable, but their efforts are focused on the 250. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I guess the off season of 2011, preparing for 2012, I realized that it wasn't going to be that easy. It was difficult. To go ride the 450 was one thing, but to try to go faster on it is really where I struggled with because I didn't know how to go fast on it on Supercross. Yeah. So for me, it was about getting more laps in and comfortable going faster.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Like, my speed wasn't good really in Supercross at all, to be honest.
Was that right?
year. I mean, it was okay, but not where I could have been.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of people, you know, they'll look at lap times and go, oh, like Deegan's going just as fast as Jet. It's not like on a 250F these days, you can't jump anything that the 450 guys jump. You jump everything, you know, like from the inside. I mean, that's not a problem. It's almost, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like it's almost easier to go that speed on a 250. The difficult part about going to the 450 class is to still go that speed on a bike that's that much heavier.
Yep. I would agree.
Would you say that's true? Because,
yes,
you know, they'll get guys going, oh, he should just move up. He's already going their speed. It's like, it's a different ball game.
Your consequences on the 250 are a lot less too. Like the whoops, like, yes, it's easy to skim them because you can just go bop, bop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go right across them. But when you have to hit them race pace or top 5 speed in Supercross on a 450, at the time that wasn't my forte.
and they're way more chewed up.
Yes.
You know, like.
And the extra 5 laps, I mean, it was 20 laps then. So, like, the extra 5 laps, the track I thought were so haggard.
Yeah.
But that was normal.
It's normal.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that, you know, the 250 Supercross stuff I did back in my day, that was the biggest shocker for me. Was like, I know what it looks like at the end of the 125 main event.
Yep.
But how much it will deteriorate the next 20 laps on bigger bikes, it blew my mind. I'm like, this track is garbage. How is anyone even riding it? And then how are they riding it at that speed? So, yeah, maybe their lap times are similar, but it's like apples and oranges. Dude.
Yeah, it's different. I would agree that it's good to look at that, I think, if you're looking for some confidence or you want that validation for your own self. But at the end of the day, it's 2 separate classes.
Yeah.
So even me, I experienced it firsthand. I mean, I went from winning Supercross championship in the lights class to finishing 12th at the first round.
Yeah.
And it felt like I'd tried – that 12th place felt like I tried 40 times harder than that win.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
okay, take me through the opening round here. 12th at Anaheim 1, which is respectable, dude. You know, first big bike race.
No, it was just difficult. And also there were so many guys like I never raced against, so I didn't have confidence. I didn't know them as racers. Like, I think that's something else. Like, as I matured and was in the 450 class, you know, after that for another 9 years, like, you know all the guys you race whenever you get to that point, you know? So you kind of knew what to expect from the other racers.
Is that good or bad too? Because sometimes it's good to know them, right? And you know, okay, he's not going to take me out, or I don't have to worry about this guy. There's some comfort knowing the guys, but also if you get to a point where you're like, well, all right, he's probably going to beat me and he'll beat me, so I'm going to slot in like here. Like, do you find yourself doing that? Like, I'm not going to.
For sure in the 450 class.
I'm not going to fight, you know, this guy coming by me because he's going to get me. Like, what am I going to do?
And I never really fought for wins, not even in a heat race, really, on a 450. So, like, I kind of had my slot, as you should say.
Yeah.
I knew where I would fit in. And that's, at the time, I was good with it.
Yeah.
And I still look back on it, and I'm proud of myself for doing what I did, but there's still part of me that I think was holding maybe a little bit of expectation I should have been a little harder on, to be honest, looking back.
Hold yourself to a little higher standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'm asking the question because I see it after, you know, the series gets 6, 7, 8 rounds in, and everyone just kind of knows where they go.
Yes.
Right. And it's real easy to go, man, fight. Come on, dude. Like, but then you're like, all right, well, you also have to race this guy week in, week out for the next however many years.
Yep.
You don't want to be a dick.
Yep.
Right. Like, you're still trying to progress, but sometimes maybe your best bet is to let a really fast guy go and then tuck in with him and try to learn. Right.
Yep. That's kind of where I was I would say in 2012 and 2013. But yes, 2012 was a learning curve in Supercross, to say the least.
And the hardest thing would be what? Track speed up? Like, what was the toughest thing to adapt to?
With all the confidence that I gained from, you know, 2010 and 2011, really that just reset me, to be honest, going into 2012 on a 450.
Back to no confidence.
Yes, like I kind of was at a place where, like, where do I fit here? Because I didn't really feel that strong, but I think that was coming from the confidence. Like not necessarily strong physically, just like I don't know where I fit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was just figuring out my
uncertainty,
way.
right?
Yes, I was uncertain on where I stood and how good I could do, and I kind of led. It led to some results. In Supercross, where consistently I think right inside the top 10.
Dude, so going through, and this is my first time kind of looking over these results, like pouring into them. I'd say the first 6 rounds, 12, 8, 13, 10, 18, they're okay.
Yeah.
But then, dude, as it starts going on here, 8 at Daytona, 8th at Indy, 8, 7, 10, 8, 6. Like you picked up the pace pretty damn good, dude.
Yes, and a big help, actually, because I was super frustrated. I just remember, I want to say about right in here, around March time, me and Bones and the team started riding outdoors to change it up because I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot because it kind of opened my mind back up, got me excited. I felt good on the bike, like some good feelings,
Yeah.
And I think that's what led to these results because it got my head on focusing on what was difficult for me at the time.
That's really smart. I think any racer hits that point where it's like you aren't getting the results you want, so what our natural instinct is, okay, I need to work harder.
Yeah.
And you work harder and you try harder and you're just like pouring everything into it, and almost at times you can go backwards doing that. You know what I mean?
That's what happened before this one right here.
18th at San Diego.
Yeah. And that's when let's just call it, I said F it.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I wasn't sleeping good about it because the results weren't there. I felt a lot of pressure from the team. And I said, in my own head, I was just like, F it. Let's just have fun with it. Stop being so hard on yourself.
Dude, so I've done that exact same thing, gone out and ridden in the hills. Like
Yep.
1 week, I didn't even do any motos. Went to the track, I did some starts, and then I rode the hills one day. I hit ramps one day with a couple buddies, and I went out the following weekend and had the best result of the year. That's so frustrating. I don't know what the hell that is, just getting in your own way. When you're just like, you want it so bad, but you're make
holding
it
yourself back.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. And that isn't to say like don't try hard to get the results to come, but
Yes.
what is that? It's such a weird feeling.
I believe it comes from like the resistance in your brain, I think, that's putting that much pressure on yourself, Like, because you think, like even me thinking about those races that I won, I said they were easy. Like there was no resistance. I just did it. It's kind of the same thing where I think at that time
Too much
I was
thinking?
working so hard and focusing on so many things to be better at that I was doing that to myself too. I was overthinking everything.
It's like working on your golf swing, and
Yeah.
you're saying, okay, butt back, push this, arm straight, like this, and then all of a sudden you just swing and everything feels wrong.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yes.
The yips,
Yes.
I guess. Dude, I know. Trust me, I've had those suckers. Not in golf. I mean, I suck at golf all the time, but that is so frustrating on a bike when you're like, dude, what am I doing?
Yep.
I'm better than this, and I'm trying harder than I've ever tried, and my results suck.
Yes.
That's very frustrating to try to come over. Okay, so I would say this is a great season all the way around. I can't imagine those guys weren't stoked. And then I feel like in the outdoors, you poured the throttle on, dude.
Oh, I felt
Literally.
really, really good on the bike. And that's where I made another stride forward, and that's what got me the job at RCH for sure. And Mitch actually made the call for me. I sat in his office, and he's like, dude, you had a hell of a year. Like, progression-wise, outdoors, you were competitive. You got podiums. He goes, you need to make sure you go somewhere good.
Yeah.
And I went in his office one day, and I said, these are my options. What do you think? He goes, you need to get paid at least this much. He, told me what he thinks. I wrote it down. I made my calls, and it got done. Yeah. So, it was cool to have that, think about it together.
See, that's Mitch right there.
Yep.
I love that guy. Because he like I said, there's no bigger asshole when he's in a bad mood, but, that guy genuinely cares about people.
Yes.
And that's a rarity in this sport, in this freaking world anymore. He genuinely cares about you. That's awesome. Okay, so let's look through did you have a little frustration early on? Because you went 6, 14, 11.
So 14, that race, actually, bike failure, one moto. So one moto was good, one moto was DNF.
Okay.
And then 11, Thunder Valley, that's another one.
DNFs? Oh, yeah?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so well, then never mind. That doesn't matter. I was just saying maybe you got frustrated again and then
No,
figured
so
out.
I think actually this one might have been, I think silencer might have, something happened. I can't remember exactly, but something happened to my bike.
Copy. So you were good right away because then you go 7, second at Bud's Creek.
Yep.
6th at Red Bud. 6, 5, 3, 2, and then finished it off with a 3rd at Elsinore. Dude, I mean, that's really good, man.
Yep.
You get rid of those mechanicals.
I want to say maybe I actually take that back. This was maybe me and then maybe
Steel City.
Yeah,
Okay.
Steel City. That was another one.
Either way.
Either way, yes. A lot of good results on the paper.
That's freaking a great summer, man.
And I was within, I don't know exactly the points, but me, Shorty, and Weimer were really close to being 3rd in points. I think Weimer ended up getting it, but I was on the verge of.
You were right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this race, I went 3-3 at Elsinore. So I was ahead of both of those guys that race. So I was pretty close to getting it done.
How bad did that race suck?
I loved it, actually.
You did?
I don't know why.
Man.
Maybe because it's 5 minutes from my house, but yeah.
Did you like, what was the one, Tuella? The one in...
I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't like Elsinore, but how
did.
am I not going to like it if I do that?
Right. When you're on
Because
the
the same thing with Utah.
You did well there,
I
too?
did good there, too.
That's crazy.
So,
just as a spectator, I was like, this is terrible.
That race was so hot, too. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
So hot.
People, I remember, were getting IVs.
Yeah.
There were a lot of
Yeah.
shenanigans. Okay, so then tell me how the deal came together with RCH. This was this the first year that Ricky and Kerry? Okay.
So,
was there any question in your mind, like, I don't know about this new?
Well, I had another offer, too, so that didn't help it. So, actually, I rode JGR bike, Yamaha at the time.
Okay.
And obviously I was in talks with RCH, and I just didn't know what to do. And at the time, everybody was talking about how that Yamaha was really hard to set up and hard to ride. So I was like, I need to ride it if I'm going to consider it.
Yep.
Went there, rode it. I actually had fun and enjoyed the crew. And then that made it even more difficult. And then I went to Mitch, and we talked more about it. And after talking to him and more people, I was like, I'm going to give this RCH deal a shot.
What was the biggest reason you went that way?
I think at the time, I felt like it was the right move for my career long term, because I noticed how JGR, I didn't really know where they were going.
Yeah.
You know, because they just came in a couple years prior, like they had good results, but like it was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it looked really good, and you know, but then I was like, well, Ricky's starting a team with Kerry Hart, and they're Suzuki backed and all this, and I'm like, they're right here in California. I live here already.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds like the best deal for me.
Well, plus at the time, that Suzuki was good. That thing was a proven package.
Yep.
If you look at all the races they won with Dungey and then with Ricky and Reed, that thing was a winner.
Yes.
So unless they really managed to booger it up, you were going to have a good bike.
Yep. And I would say the first year it was tough because we kind of got a package from Suzuki, and we didn't have a lot of personnel at the time at RCH to help, guide it, whether it be ECU or engine or suspension. Like, it was kind of, we were secondhand, which it was fine. It's just what it was. And we struggled a little bit, I would say, results-wise. But the next year, they hired on a bunch of good people, to help support just RCH side.
Yeah.
And once that happened, things went up. Like, it wasn't like I'm saying in 13 here. It was, the bike was good. I should have been better from my point of view, but I also think the bike and the program just being new, it was different.
It's tough. New teams are tough that way for sure. And you probably weren't pulling, because Kerry had a team prior to that, right?
Yes.
But
it was Hart and Huntington,
yeah, it would have been really the same anything.
Yeah.
Because Ricky
was on a Cowie, yeah.
Ricky brought all the factory parts and all that stuff. So how would you say your results were?
E?
Nah,
it was okay. Outdoors, I started to get back in the top 10 consistency-wise, I think. I mean, I was hit or miss. I was always kind of right around the bubble there, to be honest.
I mean, you got lots of top 10s in
And
there.
outdoors, yeah.
Yeah. Even a Soupy, 7th at Seattle, 8th
Yep.
at Toronto. I mean,
So
it
there
wasn't.
was some good.
Yeah.
But overall, it wasn't easy either, to be honest. Even second year 450.
Yeah.
It was still difficult, and I think that year, for me, like I was seeing the guys winning, I'm like, dude, I'm not going that fast right now. I'm not close to that. You know, like that was just the facts.
Was that the year Ken won, or was that 2014?
That was the year Davey was winning until like round. You know, he came out.
in
Anaheim
Supercross.
won,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And he won that, and then led the championship until Daytona. I think I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but yeah, that was that year.
So the Suzuki was.
Yes.
You knew the bike was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that year? What year did Kenny win outdoors though?
It was 16.
Oh, it was 16. Oh, I was way
Yes.
under. Okay. All right. So anything stand out from that season for you?
No, it was cool to go. You know, for me at the time, it was awesome. We had a new group of people to work with, and then
Who was your teammate that year?
Josh Hill.
It was Josh Hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Was he?
He didn't race outdoors though. I don't think. I couldn't remember if he got hurt or something. 13. Yeah, it was just me and Josh in Supercross.
Okay.
And then at 14, Josh actually rode really good, but I broke my back in 14. I know we're gonna get there, but yeah, 14 was a tough year for me too.
Oh boy. Okay. We'll get to that. Okay. So pretty. I don't want to say a blah season, but
Yeah,
kinda.
cheese pizza is
Cheese pizza.
Pulp and Mex would say.
All right. Well, let's go into 14 then. You're staying with RCH this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel like you have a better starting point for the bike? You guys probably have some notes now, and
We
feel a
had
little
more
better.
personnel like to help out more. Another suspension guy to help us just focus on our team, and then the results and confidence going in was a lot higher.
Okay. So when did you hurt your back?
So you can see.
It ends right here at Detroit.
Yes, that's it.
That was it. Not at Detroit.
Yeah,
you got sixth,
it was at
so right
Toronto in practice. The race the race 14, that race that I crashed at was the one Stewart absolutely crushed everyone. That race that you see on YouTube, that's ridiculous, where he's tripling rhythms that no one's tripling.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I crashed in practice, scorpioned into the berm, broke my T6 and T7. Was out for
The rest of the year.
the rest of the year racing wise. I didn't get back on a bike until the end of October, I don't think.
Jeez. Well, let me throw a little silver lining on this, because up to that point,
Oh, it was great.
8, 8, 8, 7, 7, 5, 4, 6. Dude, like you were coming on.
Yes.
You know? Seems like you had it kind of starting to figure out. Tell me about this crash. So, like, did you know right away you broke your back?
Oh, I was in so much pain, I knew something wasn't right.
Did you break anything else?
No.
Okay.
So I scorpioned, and literally it's all a blur, actually. The last thing I remember before getting in the ambulance was because the ambulance, they wouldn't leave with me until another one showed up.
Okay, yeah.
And I was on the ramp on the gurney, like this with my head below my feet. And I remember yelling at whoever was there. I was like, you guys got to do something. I can't sit like this, because I was
Head's starting to, like,
everything,
throb, yeah.
everything was throbbing.
And you're on a
And-
hard backboard, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then finally get to the hospital, and they're like, we need to do some scans, whatever. And actually, when they do the first scan, whatever, get back to the room, they're like, we need to do another one. And so the nurse takes me back again, do another one. He goes to slide me over, and he drops me on the table,
Oh, come on.
and I couldn't feel from my chest down.
Right then?
And I started freaking out. Yeah. And prior to that, the first time I did the scan, there was 2 people. And then I even said to him before he slid me over the second time, I was like, you sure you don't need help? He's like, no, I got it. And he dropped me. And then that happened, and then I woke up and I couldn't move my legs.
Bro.
I don't even remember. Last thing I remember before surgery was that.
Yeah, I'm sure he shot you full of Versed or something immediately after he dropped you.
Yeah, because
Wow.
The chaplain at the time, Chappie, was in there. And
Steve Hudson?
I felt bad. Yeah, Steve Hudson was there, and I was cussing. Yeah, obviously at this time it was a lot of emotion going on, but it was, I was pretty gnarly because of that situation. But that's all I remember before I went into surgery.
Were you just like screaming like, dude, what the?
No, I was freaking out because I'm like, that changes my life.
Oh, that's heavy, dude.
So, like, but look.
So you don't have like a long window of memory, remembering that?
No,
like,
because I think at the time they already gave me some pain medication, and it's all a blur.
Yeah,
you know, I
yeah,
do
yeah.
remember the details of that just because I think it was so impactful.
Holy moly! All right, so obviously that was just inflammation. You didn't damage the cord. Thank God.
And I was once I had the surgery, I was in a room sharing it with someone else who was they were pretty much toasted. Like, I don't know what was going on with the room I was sharing with that guy, but I was like, I have to get out of here. This place, and I couldn't leave because I couldn't go to the bathroom without
Toronto? Where were you?
Yeah, Toronto.
Toronto, okay.
Couldn't go to the bathroom without a catheter because that's normal in spinal injuries, I guess. And they wouldn't discharge me because of that, obviously. So I was like, we got to get out of here. I said, what do I need to do to get out of here? And they're like, I was like, I'm going to the States. So I went to the hospital outside of Detroit, and I was there for 2 weeks because I still couldn't pee. And I was finally like, give me the catheter. I'm doing it.
And you yanked it out?
And I said, if I can show you guys I can actually do the catheter to myself, can I leave? And they were like, let me go ask. Come back, and they're like, you've been in here for 2 weeks now because you can't. If you can, we'll discharge you. So I just had to come back up for a checkup appointment a couple weeks later or whatever, just to make sure.
Yeah.
And basically left with a handful of catheters and
So you put the catheter in yourself?
for 2 weeks. And then that actually lasted a little bit longer just because I couldn't drain my bladder. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So,
Well, usually after any kind of operation too, they won't let you go till you move your bowels.
yep.
Did you have to do that too, or were they?
Yes, well, I actually could move my bowels, but
Okay.
I could not. So I couldn't drain my bladder. So I'd go pee, and I'd say I'm done, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I was done, physically,
Those-
but
you
there was
couldn't
still
s-
fluid.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were showing still whatever, it was still like 3/4 full.
Dude, putting your own catheter in is gnarly.
Is not it.
It's not the
But
thing.
to leave there, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because for my headspace, like, I was fine mentally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just wanted to be in my own place,
Yeah, yeah. Did you feel like you got decent treatment in Canada?
Yeah, I mean,
When you had surgery there? Did they?
So what's gnarly is, come to find out, at the time it was like the #1 spinal surgeon in Canada.
He just happened to be there where you
Yes.
were.
And then so did recovery for 3 months, was in contact with Dr. G and some other doctors, and I had a plan to come back to California, obviously, and he set me up with a doctor in LA to get checked out, to get the hardware removed whenever I was done. So
they did rods and everything?
yeah. So I had 2 rods, and then it was fused from T4 to T9. And then
Gosh, I
the
don't remember that, dude.
the plan was for me to, get back to California, go to this checkup appointment and see what his thoughts are on removing it.
Okay.
And literally went in for that appointment. He's like, we need to take it out now. You're healed.
Okay.
And so took it out the next week or something, and then took 3-4 months of recovery after that, and then I started riding again.
No pain, no issues, no problems.
As soon as the hardware was out, it was like instant relief.
The hardware was causing the pain?
Well, it was like more of just like a stiff feeling. Like I just
Yeah.
felt so locked up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was sitting on a couch or a futon most of the time, probably bad posture and, doing all this stuff. But I was relaxing those 3 months, healing. Looking back, I'm not criticizing it too badly, but I wish I would have been a little bit smarter that first 3 months. But obviously I was doing something right because I healed in no time. Because he's like, we should probably wait till 4 months. But if you're out here, maybe we just do an appointment, get a scan, and just see where you're at. And he's like, it's healed.
It worked. Whatever you did, good job.
So
That's crazy, man. I had no idea. I don't remember hearing about that. Whew. That's heavy stuff. So was there ever any reservation at after that whole incident about coming back to racing?
yeah, a little bit. There's
There's just something about your spine when you hurt that. Like even
Yep.
when Dungy did his, which
Yep.
was super minor,
Yep.
but it was enough for him to go, You kind of reassess risk versus reward.
Well, I was like, where am I at? At this time, 25 years old. I'm like, what can I do? You know what I mean? I thought about it for sure, but like I was still like
25's young.
I want to race.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, RCH signed me on again, and we went back racing.
Okay, so 2015 RCH again. Teammates?
That was Kenny.
That
First
was
year.
Kenny. Okay.
Yep.
Was there a lot to learn from him?
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
to watch him ride every day, and at that, you know, I think throughout his injuries, he's changed a little bit. Obviously, he still has the speed, but like young Kenny, 2015, 2014, 2016 were, I mean, why wouldn't you want to ride like him?
Yeah, he was, I mean, he's still,
Yes.
watching him ride is it's impressive.
Yeah, so for me to be, you know, and I think also prior to that, me being, I guess, there was more pressure on me in 13 and 14 because we were going racing. RCH.
You were the guy.
I was basically the guy, so like I felt the pressure of the team, where when Kenny came in, it kind of took a load off.
Plus, you got another guy to test, and
Yes.
he's probably got some horsepower to if he wants something done, you know.
Yeah.
So, did the team everything kind of elevate that year?
Another step of elevating for sure from RCH side. I mean, the crew was factory. I mean, it was a factory at that time. It was it was basically like if it was.
Was that the year like Bentley came on and
Bentley was there from 13 actually.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be the year we had Sergio, who was the mapping and ECU guy. We had Aaron Johnson, who's at Cowie now.
Yeah, he was a pro circuit guy
yes,
for a long time.
and then who else did we have? We had Kaipo.
Okay.
Kaipo. Ryo was there after. He's actually at WP now.
Okay.
He was there in 17 when Kaipo went back to Cowie, I believe. So, yeah, we had a lot of good personnel, actually, that came in 14 and 15.
Yeah, they brought in
Yeah,
in good heavy hitters, which it paid off for them. Okay, so take me through your year there. Looking through the results, dude, pretty stinking good.
Yep.
Right off the bat, 8th at the opener, 5th at A2, 6th at Atlanta, 4th at Atlanta 2. Lots of top 10s.
Yep.
And then outdoors, 4th at Thunder Valley, 4th at Redbud. You were top 10 everywhere, man.
Yep.
That was a good
15
year.
was probably the most solid year of my career, I think. If you were to calculate all the numbers.
Inside and out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously not wins or anything like that, but it reminds me of 2009 on the 250.
Yeah.
A very similar year.
So you felt like your trajectory kind of picked back up again.
Yep.
You're going like this. Okay. Anything stand out? Any rides or anything from that season?
To be honest, even those fourth places, like they were huge for me at that time, because I was so close, and it kept me hungry to obviously get there. And then in 16, I did end up getting some podiums, so it was cool for it to kind of fall into place in 16. Kenny, obviously in outdoors, obviously in Supercross, win some races, I think here and there, and then outdoors he was pretty much. I think he won almost every moto.
Outdoors?
Yeah, in 16.
Yeah, he was pretty dominant that
So
year.
like the team morale, like you know what I mean. It was awesome.
That makes it a fun summer.
The atmosphere was very good, and I had a good time.
All right, so 16. This is that season. Looks like Soupy kind of started off a little slow for you.
Yeah, so I broke my wrist after San Diego won,
Okay.
and then I came back for Indy way too soon, and then rode myself into shape.
Yeah,
So
you,
basically, I was like, I'm going racing. They're like, are you sure? And I'm like, are you guys good with me showing up and working myself into fitness so that way outdoors I'm solid? And they're like, yeah.
Okay.
And Jake Weimer was actually my fill-in, so we actually got to do, it was me, Kenny, and Jake for basically from Indy on.
Oh, cool. That's fun. You guys
so
are
it was
buddies,
a good
right?
time, yeah.
That's a 3-month break there. I didn't even pick up on. Yeah, January to April you were out.
Yep. So broke my wrist literally, I think it was a Thursday before.
No surgery or anything?
Yep.
Oh, it did need surgery.
Yeah, it was
Oh, gotcha. Just radius or there or what?
Yeah, it was right in the joint. I got lucky it wasn't obviously a scaphoid or whatnot, but it took a while for me to get comfortable. Like I literally was like, I could ride, and I literally
it's your
went,
throttle hand,
I
too.
went to the track and I was like, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Even me going, I don't know what I was thinking when I showed up for this race.
For Indy?
Yeah, like I was like, I'm fine. And then I showed up to Indy that's super rutted. I'm like, I'm not good.
I'm not fine. I've realized. Yeah, I've made a huge mistake. Okay, well, 6th at Vegas.
Yep.
That's quite a. I mean, from a bunch of 14th, 13th, all of a sudden 6th. That's pretty stinking good. And then outdoors again, you picked it up big time. First few or whatever, and then 9th at High Point, 3rd at Tennessee. Is that your first outdoor podium?
Yep, 450.
Yeah, out 450.
Yeah.
How'd that one feel? Was that a big?
That one was awesome because I remember the first moto I got 6th, and the second moto I got 3rd, and I was doing the math in my head because I could see the guys behind me.
Okay.
And I was like, obviously, I'm not catching the lead guys at this point because I think it was Kenny and Tomac, and they were just gone.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I got it. And I had a little gap, so I was like, let's just ride it in and hope it works out. And come to find out, Seeley went 3.6, and I went 6.3, and obviously I ended up getting it.
Nice. That's another milestone, like winning motos, getting on the podium in the 450 class, and then winning an overall. It's like those don't come easy.
Yep.
None of them.
And then the backup ride at Red Bud for me that year, back to back, that was awesome. Me and Barsha swapped moto finishes, so it was a 4.3 versus a 3.4.
Okay.
And that was where like I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like I figured it out.
You feel like maybe that was kind of a mental step you took.
Yes, for sure. And I had good fitness, and I was strong, and my pace was good. Like actually that race, if I even looking at the lap times online, I think last year I looked, but like it was pretty impressive. I think the first moto, I want to say I was pretty close to setting the fastest lap.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, plus the fans are going crazy because you're from Michigan.
Yep. No, they were though. They were.
Oh, I'm sure. What's it like being on the podium there?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Dude.
I mean, even now when, I'm going as this, crew, I'm
It's
like,
crazy.
Dude.
Yeah. You got to give it up to those Buchanan, Michigan folks. They go absolutely ham. And it makes it a lot of fun. Okay, so great season. Got your first podiums, 2 of them back to back. Pretty sweet. Take us into 2017.
Started off slow. So Kenny left and went to Honda. So it was me and Justin Bogle.
Okay.
Teammates. We lost some title sponsors, but we still had the crew.
Okay.
But it was a single year deal.
Lost Dodge or something, right? Or what was it?
Well, we had Soaring Eagle, Saquon, Dodge. We had all those sponsorships at one time, but we didn't have a title sponsor for 2017.
Okay.
So we were Suzuki.
Gotcha.
RCH Suzuki.
Checks were still cashing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How'd that season?
It was tough actually because we had some personnel leave, and I think for me, I was ready to go to that next step, but it took some time again. I was slow from the get-go, and then as the time went on, first podium in Supercross, but it led. Yeah, the first 4 races I remember I was struggling again. I think starts and just figuring out where I fit in again, and it just took those couple races to get it going again.
So you break into the top 10 again, and then you go to Toronto in a twist of fate where you broke your back and you get your first podium.
Yep.
What was that like? Did that feel better than Nationals? Or
that was a tough main event, and it felt better than Nationals. Yes, It did.
Just because it's a little harder earned, or what?
Well, Supercross is just it's not easy for me, like outdoors, or as easy. But that race, I remember I was in a pressured situation because the 2 guys in front of me pulled a little gap, and then there was kind of a train behind me. But there was enough gap for me to manage. I just couldn't let up.
Yeah.
And I remember
no mistakes, no slacking.
No, it was literally like I was like, man, I got to do this for 5 more minutes, I think. And I was like, I can do it. And I'm like kept my eye on who was behind me, and I think I held it off just enough time, but it was tough for me. I remember, but it was well earned, obviously.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that kind of self-talk or inner monologue, because it's another thing that our sports psychologist with Elevate, she talks about a lot is, your brain can't decipher between, like, even if you're just joking around, you mess up, like, I'm an idiot. It's like,
Yeah.
she goes, don't ever say that about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, your brain doesn't know the difference.
Yep.
And ultimately your confidence and self-belief is all
Yep.
structured around what you say about yourself and think about yourself, So I just remember some of the races where I did better. I was in my head going, you got this. Come on. Then put in another lap.
Yep.
Hit your, like you just kind of talking yourself through
Yep.
it. Did you do that a lot as a racer in a situation like this? Like, I've had ones where I have a nice cushion and there's someone behind me and it's early.
Yep.
And they're just not backing off. And you're
Yep.
like, dude, that is such a hard conversation to have. Like, okay, you got this for 15 more minutes.
Yes, it's like I guess it depends on the race and who's behind you and how you feel about that person or how you're even feeling. But I remember that race going over the triple, because obviously that was probably the best place to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I would just be like, you're not letting up. You got the start you've been asking for. You're not letting up, because I got a good start and I finally was in the mix. And prior to that, the results were pretty bad because of starts, because I was starting 18th and finishing 12th. So for me, I finally got what I was asking for, and I was like, I'm not letting this slip away.
Yeah.
So it was just me telling myself I could do it, basically, in my own head. And whenever I get in that state when I'm riding, I tend to focus on thinking about what it takes to go fast. No clipping, easy on the brakes, roll the turns. Like, if I was struggling or resistance against something, I would figure out a way to make it lessen that resistance in that turn or whatever it may be. Or the whoops. Like, whatever it may have been on the track that was maybe pulling me back, I would try to figure out a way to create less resistance in that category, if that was the case.
Yeah. That's important, though, that self-talk. It's I wish there was a way to pipe that out so people could listen.
Yep.
And hear what your thoughts are. I think it'd be funny in a lot of cases,
Yes.
I've yelled at myself,
For sure.
Come on, you pussy, like, let's go. I'm sure we've all had those moments where you're talking to yourself. Great rest of the season, man. Like, pretty much solid top 10s after the podium. Oh, and then looky here, we go outdoors, and it's good again. Third at High Point. It's another good finish. Anything about the rest of that season? Was this podium different than the first one?
It was different because I was just solid. I went 4-4 that day. Got good starts. And it was just a solid day.
Yeah.
So that was like one of those rides, I think, where I stayed within my pace and just let the points fall into place for me.
Okay. Well, we're going into 2018. Where did you wind up in 2018? Is this Cowie?
Yeah, no, that's Red Bull KTM.
Red Bull KTM, okay. So tell me, this is the year of your WADA
suspension
nightmare, right? And I know we had you on Dean Wilson's show years ago, right when it happened, kind of talk about it. But I think as time has gone on and we everybody gets a little bit clearer picture of it, it's like, I don't think there's anyone that doesn't think you and James and
Christian.
Was it Craig? Wasn't there was another privateer kid, and you guys all got
Clayson.
Cade Clayson. You guys all got hosed. Like, that was just like a black eye on our sport, because first of all, what was the stinking drug? Methylhexamine or something?
Yeah,
right?
So like, it's found in pre-workout. So when I did the research on it, because I never heard of it, obviously, whenever I got the letter, and then once I started diving into it, I'm like, well, how am I going to find out where it came from? So I did some research, and they're like, it's found in pre-workouts. Some of these brands have been cross-contaminated possibly with it. And that's all the information I pretty much found on it.
Yeah.
And when I got notified on the way to Minneapolis that year, so it looks, I should race until Minneapolis.
Let's look through here.
I think Minneapolis, yep. So Tampa would be, so this was after my suspension. So Seattle was my last race, and I was flying to, actually was getting on the plane to Minneapolis in San Diego airport. I got the email as I was boarding the plane, and I'm like, what is FIM emailing me about? So I click on it, and Roger was on my flight, and it was kind of a big deal, obviously. Get there, we have a meeting, we go down to AMA, we're like, what is this? And they're like, well, you can't race tonight because of the circumstances. And then from that point on, I literally didn't hear anything from them for probably, I don't know, it was a while.
Yeah.
Probably 3 months. So first thing I did was fly back in the morning. Brought all the supplements, like bought multivitamins, fish oil, electrolyte drinks. I brought it all to a lab in San Dimas that would, test it basically. Well, I got tested. Let's see.
Was it San Diego?
Yeah. So I got tested at that race.
February 10th.
So I got notified the weekend after this. So it would have been the end of February or March. Or no, sorry, April.
April 15th, let's
yes,
say.
Yes.
That's when you get notified, which is
Yes.
crazy in itself. Right?
So the supplements that I had, I knew weren't the same batch or lot numbers. And I come to find out this after the fact, because I'm like, what do you mean batch numbers? Like I was naive actually, to be honest. So I brought everything I had at the time to the lab. They tested it. I paid for it. It wasn't cheap. They're like, nothing here is contaminated. And I'm like, well, how's that the case? It's the same stuff I was taking then. And they're like, well, obviously it's a different batch number. And who knows, to be honest. I'm still in that place.
And the amount that was in your system was like so minuscule. This is like it's on the WADA list because it's a methamphetamine, right?
Yep.
It's a stimulant, but it's like short acting. This would do the levels that were in your system would do nothing.
Yep.
It's less than a cup of coffee. So I hate when it's like there's no room for common sense. Nope. There's that in his blood, period. He's out 2 years of his life done. Not like, well, how much is in there? Can we go back to his last sample? Can we do another sample? Can we just
problem solve this together?
Yes. And man, best thing we ever did was get rid of WADA. So,
well, was this or for how long it took from here to here, obviously was an issue from my standpoint. And then from here until I didn't find out until right before outdoors started. So it wasn't that long, say another whatever. I didn't hear back from them until right before outdoors because I think KTM and Roger were trying to pull their strings however they could to get me to race for the summer if it could work. But obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy, dude. We should never allow any kind of agency that's doing a service for us to have control of it.
Yep.
Completely like that. You know what I'm saying?
I would agree. I think they've moved on to better things now, and hopefully if this does come up again, it gets handled in a way that I think it's treated fairly, for sure.
I mean, I would say on the one hand, you got to feel good that it's like, well, it happened to Stewart also. Like this elite star of our sport, right? It's not like you got singled out or that doesn't take away the fact that they stole 2 years of your career.
Yep. And at the time that was a big move for me. Going to Red Bull KTM. If you look at results-wise, just starting out, it wasn't great, but they started coming.
Yeah, dude. Well, fourth the weekend before you, tested positive.
So it was, either way,
very
frustrating. It was a really good experience for me here, to be honest. And then also, honestly, after that, I look back and I'm glad they didn't tell me how long I was going to be out for.
Really?
Because I stayed motivated.
I was going to say, what the hell? It was almost 2 years, dude. What did you do? And I kind of remember seeing you around, like, just riding. You were borrowing, like, media bikes. And
Yep. Yeah, so I'd borrow, actually, Tyler Keefe would let me borrow a bike from them. I would test for them sometimes, on the side for whatever. And then I had my own bike. And then Mark, who was doing the suspension for KTM at the time, started his own company in 19 or the end of 18. So me and Mark would play around on my own KTM that Tyler Keefe gave to me to ride, and we would go testing. So that's what 19 consisted of. And then once I found out, I was deflated to know that I still had time to serve, to be honest, because I'm like, it's already been so long and I don't know anything that's going on.
Yeah.
But to be honest, them not telling me it was going to be 2 years kept me in the game.
If they'd have said 2 years, you might have just like, dude.
No, I probably would have. I don't know if I would have quit for sure, but it was probably a better chance.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, you're a stronger man than me. I'd have been so pissed off.
It's pretty cool though. This whole next part's like, for me, this is a COVID year, obviously, but
Yeah. So how did it end with Red Bull KTM? You had a 1 or 2 year deal with
It
them?
was just a 1 year deal.
Okay. So when the year kind of
Yes.
ended, they were like,
Well, no, I was done May.
oh, it's Supercross only?
Yeah, well, no, it was motocross too, but they clipped the contract
Oh,
obviously
gotcha.
because I couldn't race. So yeah, so from
So you went through all of 19 just
the
testing
rest
and
of
doing
18
stuff.
too. Like think about that. The rest of 18, 19, I trained a couple kids, coached them, worked with Dean Wilson in 2019. So that was a big help for me to stay motivated and have a purpose to, be around still.
Were you riding with him or just sort of
No,
help?
training off the bike and
Okay.
and just going to the track with them. So at the time, thanks to Dino, that was huge because I
Yeah.
was around, still relevant. I was still making my own efforts to be relevant by showing up to the tracks here. And
Right. That's the hard thing, right? Because if you're planning on coming back, did you have a date then? Like, okay.
no, I didn't have the date until like literally probably 6 months before, or probably, I don't know exactly, but it was 6 to 8 months before that,
But you, like you said, you got to keep your name kind of
Yeah.
top of people's minds.
Well, so I started putting together my own team because I wanted to come back and race.
Okay.
And AEO through Husky, we put together kind of it was going to be pretty haggard. To be not haggard, I mean, it was going to be a tough
Ragtag.
program.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
not going to be easy for me to go race supercrosses on my own.
Yeah.
Well, Joey Savacci got hurt at JGR. Freddie Noren got hurt shortly after the season started, and it happened to work out where this happened about 2 weeks before that race, and J-Bone calls me. And obviously it was tough for me because I put together this program that it was going to be tough. Like I was going to be spending basically all my money to go race, which I was totally good to do and I probably would have done no matter what. But the timing for J-Bone to call me, then for me to race this, then break my hand in the heat race.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even see this gap here.
Yeah. Well, that was COVID, so it worked out perfect. So I broke my hand in practice. Then the next weekend they canceled racing.
Oh, this is when COVID hit.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
So then all these races were JGR at Salt Lake.
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
And
I
obviously,
forgot
and
about this.
then I came back for first round here, broke my hand, my other hand.
Oh, brother.
So then I stayed in Park City. I did hyperbaric. I was spending all the money, basically probably more than what I made, pulling money out of a savings account just to hopefully be able to end on a high note, in which that was really cool for myself to do that there with the sixth at the final round.
See, I forgot we did this many rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds at Salt Lake. God, what a weird time, man.
It was honestly the coolest trip of my life, actually, though.
Staying in Park City?
Well, like just bicycling, like all of it was super cool. Like obviously I don't want to do that every year, but it was a super cool
Yeah,
trip.
I bet it was.
we all had our own, we had one big house up in Deer Valley. So it was epic.
Okay, so you finished Supercross strong, a 6th at the last round.
Yep. I was actually really stoked on my first race back, if you want me to be honest.
The 12th at Tampa?
Yes. The class, if you go back and look compared to, it's just for me to be out 2 years and go get 12th is not bad.
Not bad at all, dude.
No, like I wasn't very happy with it, but then when I look at it, I'm like, I was proud of myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you were even there, to me, is like,
Yeah.
it's a tall order. And then you come back and within
Now, here's another
7
story.
rounds.
So then if I was going to race outdoors on JGR, I was going to have to pay my own way, and they were going to supply the bike,
Okay.
which was fair because so they already had a team,
Who were you filling in for again?
Savacci and Freddie, but they were healthy for outdoors heading into the COVID outdoor season.
So they were going to keep you. You
Yes,
just had to pay your way. Okay.
I had to pay for a mechanic, all
Yeah.
the other stuff, which is fair. But
You'd
then-
probably spent that money doing your own team, right? And not having
100%.
Okay.
But then Klessinger gets hurt before the start of Loretta's that year for motocross.
What was he riding then?
Factory Yamaha.
Okay.
So I got the call 2 weeks before Loretta's. I'm scrambling trying to get my Suzuki all sorted. I bought a bike. It was not, things were just, I was like, man, this is going to be another tough go
It's
at
going
it.
to be a mess. Okay.
Yeah, so then literally AP gets hurt 2 weeks before Loretta's. I get a call. Go race the whole summer for Yamaha. So
Wow, all
just the
right.
way things worked out, it's just crazy to look at how it all fell into place.
It is. That's, man, perfect. And then you went to your second. Which one was muddy? The first Loretta or second?
No, the second one. I got second in one of the motos.
So 13-4, then 9-9-6. You're putting in good rides.
Yep.
Spring Creek.
I crashed there. I had a really bad crash there. Then, Spring Creek was bad.
And then Fox is the last round of the year?
Yeah. That was it.
Okay. So ended with a 9th. Was Yamaha happy?
Yeah, we actually had a good time. Even for me over there, it was good to work with a different group of people. I think I learned a lot about, working with other people, testing a different motorcycle. So that part of it still kind of feeds into what I'm doing now, I think. And actually, after that, I thought I was done, to be honest. I was like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. To be honest, I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
And then I'm doing the same thing again, trying to put together my own team. Calling Jeremy again from AEO, trying to figure out details and if I can throw my bike on this semi to get to all the races, all that stuff. And I got to the point I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah.
And December, the end of 2020, December, Tony Alessi calls me. Hey, Justin Hill didn't sign his contract. You want to ride? So then I rode for Moto Concepts in 21.
Okay. How was that?
It was good. Looking back on it, the bike was good. The crew was good, to be honest. But at the time, I was not in a good space.
Just headspace.
Like mentally, headspace was not very good.
Yeah.
Struggling, just trying to be better and, focus on that. And then I had personal life stuff happening and, I was just not in a good place.
That's where your wife...
Uphill battle. It was 21.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the results aren't great looking at the rest of your career, but there's a lot of people that would kill for these results too.
Yeah, and honestly, those results at the time too were, look at the class. I mean, you look at it now, it's
heavy. Yeah, it's just a heavy class.
Yeah, if you don't get a start and aren't confident, you're gonna be.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna be.
Yeah.
Tony Alessi gets a lot of heat. I feel like as a team manager, he does a pretty good job. Like that guy wants the best for his guys, and he'll, he's passionate about it.
100%. Like the whole off season, I was like, wow, this guy's on it.
Yeah.
With everything. And I knew him a little bit because I rode with Mike in 2010, 2009 a little bit up there in the high des doing some motos with them. So like I knew him and he knew me a little bit. So it was actually good for me to be in that position, to be honest, because I knew him a little bit and the team, like I said, was good. Like we had good bikes and they were competitive.
Yeah, I feel like ever since they kind of have the program that they've got now, like, dude, they're solid.
Yep.
Those guys do a good job. And Tony is, he's a lot like Larry Brooks, where he might not be your cup of tea. You might be like, this guy's kind of a wingnut. But, dude, he's got your back 100%.
Yep.
If that means getting in a bar fight, he's in. Like, he's got your back. And, like, I like team managers like that. I want to know this guy's in it as much as me.
Yep.
And he does not leave any questions there.
Understands the ups and downs, too.
Heck yeah.
If anybody does.
Totally. So how hard was it for you to then at the end of that year say, all right, like I'm done? Or were you ready? Were you kind of like...
I don't think I was ready because I knew I could do better still.
Okay.
To be honest. And then, like I said early on when testing started, let's see, around this time, I think Arlington area, that's when I got a call or, contacted from Oscar.
Okay.
About Kawasaki. How would you feel about test ride job, blah, 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 whatever. It was small talk.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm interested. And then come to whatever May, I was on the bike on the 15th of May, their bike, testing outdoors.
Okay.
And it fell into place.
Do you have any reservations about or like look back and any regrets about making that choice?
No. I mean, no. Because I would have maybe got an offer to race, but I didn't want to go back to that place.
Yeah.
Because 21 kind of felt like that to me a little bit. There was a lot of resistance with a lot of stuff going on, and the opportunity that came, there was no resistance like for results.
Right.
And it lined up perfectly for for where I'm at now,
Yeah.
looking back, it's like
Well,
perfect.
it feels like there's, and I don't know, I'm not in your shoes, but like it seems like you've kind of put yourself into a place where you're super valuable to them. And the possibilities of where you might go within that company are pretty broad. You know what I mean? Like if you want to stay with the race team or you want to get into something at Cowie, like once you kind of prove yourself,
Yep.
if you look at the path of Mike Fisher or some of these other guys from the past, they wind up the team manager, they wind
Yep.
up director of racing, or I'm not.
No, I think
I don't know where you end up.
opportunities are high for me with where I'm at, and thanks to them for giving me the opportunity, obviously. And I'm grateful of it because I get to be around the people that I enjoy being around, that I've been around the last 15 years, ultimately. Still get to go fast on my dirt bike when I want to, and it's safe. I don't have to prep my bike. I have a mechanic.
You're not doing filters.
Yes. Like, I don't mind doing that stuff on my own for a ride day here and there, but like to do that consistently,
Yeah, well, I got you.
it's not my cup of tea, actually.
So was there ever like a moment where you were like, I'm done? Like I'm done as a racer? Or was that kind of what the closure was last summer?
To be honest, I actually sliding into Cowie at first, and then Jason coming on board. I was training with Jason in 21 and 22, or 22 and 23, on and off the bike. I lived through that the whole time. So like I was kind of, in the zone that whole 2 years, and it was too much for me, to be honest. But at the time, it was what I needed because it kept me focused on the good stuff. That first year, Jason was unbelievable. Won 7 supercrosses, 2 outdoor races. And for me, it was new, and it was new for him. So, and the team morale and everything was top notch. So for me, the first year was unbelievable. Second year, we had some challenging results. The bike, we worked on some stuff. We kind of hit and miss a little bit. And then leading into this new bike, I think we've all, like, as a group, have worked on it in a good way and kind of found a way for all of us to be on the same page.
Yeah. I'm really grateful for the way I got out of the sport with the media ride that I had, or media job.
Yep.
Because it allowed me to still go do races and test bikes and kind of have my foot in it still, but not be a racer.
Yep.
And I feel like this was a perfect position for you, because I think when guys who have done this for a living and have done it our whole lives, if you just go, I'm done.
Yep.
It's not great. Like for those guys struggle mentally.
Yep.
Really, really hard to find a new thing and like figure out who they are. And it's like a piece of them is dead.
Yep.
And I watch guys struggle a lot. So like this job for you just seems like it's been this really easy kind of transition out to where you'll get to a point one day where you're like, I don't want to race anymore. Like, I love it, but like I'm good.
Yes.
And I'm happy with what I did, and I'm.
No, and I think that's very important to have for someone who is racing and has done it for a long time, to have something lined up before they get there. And I didn't really have that plan, but that's what kind of fell into my lap. Not fell into it, but it's kind of what played out for me. And if I didn't have that, I don't know what I'd be doing, to be honest. I'd probably be coaching some kids somewhere or doing something with it because I love it. And it seems as soon as I get a little bit away and maybe think I might not want to be around anymore, I get pulled right back into it because it's what I enjoy to do.
It's all we've done, man, and it's really hard to get it out of your blood. And guys that try struggle.
Yep.
So I'm stoked for you there. I think it's a really good transition out of racing for you into whatever's next. And now, like I said, you've got all these options where you can go.
Yep.
Just it'll be exciting. I'm anxious to see where it takes you.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it too, because like right now I'm still in that place of like, yes, I'm a test rider, but I know I can't do this forever for the race team. Yeah. Because at some point that is the truth. I'm just not going to be that guy anymore. So for me, it's cool to be in the position that I am because I'm around the things I like to do. I'm in a good headspace, and I'm able to kind of pick whether I want to go this way or that way. Yeah. Or choose. It's awesome, do man. Both.
Tell me about some of your personal life stuff here. Like you said you had gone through a divorce and kind of had some, I forget what year it was, but kind of some rocky
21,
times.
Yeah.
Have you come out of that the other side okay? I mean, I know a lot of my buddies that have gone through that. It's tough.
No, that was difficult. I don't think I think there's only maybe a couple people who knew how hard it was for me because I was good at hiding it. But for me to race, that's why I said looking back at the results and knowing the headspace I was at and what I was occupied by otherwise, like, yeah, it was tough. So for me, it's cool to look at because now I give myself kind of a pat on the back.
Yeah. Like,
but at the time, I'm like, you suck. You can't figure this out.
it's a lot, dude. That's and luckily you guys didn't have kids or anything, right?
No.
So pretty clean.
Yes.
Relatively speaking, but
Yep.
guys that go through that, man, it's like it changes them.
No, for sure.
It's a heavy deal.
It's definitely changed me, obviously, and I think that's normal. I think a lot of me too, figuring out who I am that's not a racer, figure out me who I am without that, in my life anymore. Like that's all been a change for me.
Yeah.
So because, I memean, yeah, it's just that's the facts.
Yeah. I didn't know you super well, kind of through your racing days.
Yep.
We didn't run in the same circles a lot. And this is just purely me giving you an observation from the outside, but you seem like more settled, more confident as a person, and more just like calm in who you are.
Yep.
I don't know if that means anything to you,
No,
but just
it
from
feels
a guy.
great for you to say that. Actually, I like that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wish I was. I guess what I should say is I wish I could have experienced some of racing a different way.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, in
I
a
get
different
that for
way
sure.
sometimes. Which,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it's wrong or critical of what I did, but I just wish I could have experienced it a different way. But that's what's cool about being in the position I am. I get to see all these kids coming up.
Yeah.
There's opportunities for me to use it.
For sure.
And that's kind of where my head is because I do have a lot of, like when you're helping someone, you see them click with what you're thinking and all that. Like there's a connection there for me, and I enjoy that. So for me, there's something there. I just got to figure out how it's going to be done.
Well, Kawasaki has the Team Green program, which is
Yeah.
pretty, might be a good spot for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool. I love that too, man. The Elevate coaching thing that we did. When you have a rider and you share something that you can see that they're doing, man, if you could just change this and try it this way and just try this. And they go do it, they listen and they do it and they come and go, whoa, that's crazy. That is so much better. That's an awesome feeling, right?
100%. And especially when you see them do it, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or you see a race that they do and you helped a little bit, like
it's a good feeling.
well, yeah, and it's cool because they're stoked, you're stoked,
Yeah.
everyone's stoked. So it's a good vibe.
Well, maybe that's feeding into where you're going to end up. I like it.
Feed the plant.
What about what do you do for fun these days? Like if you're not testing, you're not going to the races, what do you go do?
To be honest, like the last couple years I've been dating a girl. So for me, it's been experiencing dating someone, to be honest. That's been different for me. And also,
Was this like a Tinder or a what's the
no,
website, all the apps?
Kind of, it was through an app, but then she knew someone that I knew, and then it kind of got connected that way.
Okay.
So yeah, it was kind of weird how it started because like I was just at the time I never even dated anyone really,
Yeah.
to be honest.
You were with your last girlfriend
Yes,
like pretty young,
since
yeah?
I was like 17. So like for me, this was like all new. So like it was, it's been awesome though because her and I have grown closer together. I'm starting to like open up more, and to be honest, a lot of good's come out of the situation in the past
Yeah.
for me, and I have a different aspect on it now, and I think that's good because now I see clearly kind of what I want and how I want things to be,
Yeah.
and not just about me either. I think that's important.
And the tough part about being in a relationship as a racer is you're so selfish, dude.
Oh, 100%.
You have to be,
Yeah.
right? And then you're asking this person to like go, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you, but I'm coming first than everything. Sorry.
Yep.
That's a hard way to start.
100%.
So, back in I keep talking
Back
about
in
the
my
old
day.
days, but back in the 1900s when I was racing, if you got married, it was like kiss of death.
Yeah.
No one was married. Go
Yeah.
back and look at mid 90s and look at how
Yeah.
many guys were married. I think Dowd and Laraco. That
Yeah.
was it. No one else was married.
Yep.
And somewhere along the line, early 2000s, it changed and just everybody got married.
Yep.
And awesome if they can make it work. I think that's probably better, but it's not easy.
No,
for sure.
it's not. Yeah, there's when it comes, like you said, it's hard not to be. You have to be selfish.
You have to be
to perform at this level and in this sport. You have to be selfish, but someone think that fits those shoes. That obviously it needs to be right for that person. But I also look at it as like the girl or woman in this case almost needs to understand that that's what needs to be for him for this time period of his life.
Yeah,
and that's.
And some of these gals work great because they do get that, and they're like, all right, I'm going to support you like crazy for the next 10 years, and then, it's my turn, or whatever, and then it works out. But that's hard. Those are hard. Those chicks are hard to find, man.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, it's good to hear you doing well. Our last little segment here is the Ethic of Fit Check, one of our newest partners, and they were meant to send a big box of stuff to give out to all our guests. So you just got to tell me what you need: hats, underwear, socks. We're going to get you dialed in. It didn't make it in time. They're going to bring it tomorrow. So I'll get it to you.
Medium staples.
Boom. All right. Done and done. We're going to get you sorted out. So big thank you to Ethica for doing that. And, man, that's it. I appreciate you coming in, taking the time. I know it takes a little while, but
thank you.
I loved hearing the story.
Yeah, it was a good time being on.
Start to finish. So thanks so much, man. Really
you.
Impressive what you did and what you continue to do with Cowie.
Yep.
And I can just tell your love for it. You're going to be around for a minute. I don't know. I don't know doing what yet.
Yes.
You'll figure it out, man. I'm stoked for you.
Thanks for having me, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. I appreciate you guys sticking around. That was Broc Tickle. We'll be back to wrap up the show. All right, guys. Welcome back. Huge thank you to Broc Tickle for taking the time to come in today. Really enjoyed going through that story, and it'll be interesting to me to see where he winds up. You can tell he loves this sport. He loves riding. He loves coaching. He kind of alluded to that at the end. Wouldn't be surprising at all to see him overseeing the Team Green program here eventually. I think that seems like a really good fit for him. Either way, the sport's better with him in it. Great dude. And really stoked that he's still a part of it. And appreciate all of our sponsors. You guys support those folks. They keep you bringing these shows. So have a peek at that board behind us. All of these brands. We go way out of our way to make sure these are elite premium level companies that make premium products. And so we don't have to make excuses for them trying to promote them. We just say, hey, you want the best stuff? These are the folks you need to reach out to. So thank you guys for watching. We got a great year planned, some really cool shows coming up, some epic ones that I've been waiting on for 7 years. And we're going to get some of those done this season. So really excited. Stoked to kick it off with Broc. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next show.
Yamaha is the industry leader in two-wheeled fun and performance. Celebrating 50 years of YZ in 2024, the Blue Crew is still dominating shootouts and competitions. Yamaha, revs your heart.
Troy Lee Designs is the leader in off-road motocross apparel and style. So whether you're looking for a cool new paint job for your helmet, maybe your name and number on your helmet lettered on, you're looking for new gear, you're looking for mountain bike gear, off-road gear. They've got the brand new Scout line, GP and SE models. Troy Lee Designs has it all. They've been leading this industry for decades, and they're going to continue to do it. Check out TroyLeeDesigns.com. Here at the Whiskey Throttle Show, we're all about supporting brands that support our sport. And there's one tire company that has never walked away from the sport of motocross and supercross, and it's Dunlop. When times got tough and the economy took a crash, Dunlop stepped up and stayed with our sport to support it and the athletes and individuals that love it. Their MX-53 line and MX-33 lines absolutely dominate this sport. Every national championship at the pro level has been won in the last decade, and nearly every single amateur national championship at Loretta Lynn's has been won on a Dunlop. So if you're looking for high performance, you're looking for amazing quality, and you're looking to support a brand that never turns its back on our sport, there's only one choice for you, and it's Dunlop. Pro Circuit is the leader in aftermarket performance and quality. Whether you're looking for a little more horsepower out of your engine, some quality hard parts to improve the way your bike feels and looks, better handling through suspension or linkage arms, Pro Circuit is where you need to stop. It's your one-stop shop. You can go in there and get everything you need to make your motorcycle go from average to exceptional. Pro Circuit's got enough number one plates on their wall to side an entire home, and there's a reason for that. They're very, very good at what they do. The highest quality products with one goal in mind, and that's winning. Check out ProCircuit.com. Nihilo Concepts is leading the way in aftermarket hard parts. With their secondary on-switch device, something that was much needed in this sport, They've been innovating and bringing new products to market. Their latest is the new Nihilo Run Cool brake pistons. They're designed to be stronger than stock and provide exceptional cooling performance with less brake drag. Most OEM calipers pistons are made from aluminum that just can't hold up to the heat and extreme demands of serious racing. When they get hot, the aluminum will distort, causing loss of hydraulic pressure and brake failure. Nihilo's Run Cool pistons limit the area that boiling hot hydraulic fluid is able to come in contact with the piston, leaving 2/3 of the piston volume in open air with breather holes to enhance the cooling ability. It's made of a proprietary stainless blend, which is better at dissipating heat. You have issues with brake fade or brake failure, check out Nihilo Concepts among their many amazing hard parts and carbon fiber parts and titanium. NihiloConcepts.com. Seat Concepts is the leader in motorcycle saddles. If you're looking for a new cover or a new seat entirely, Seat Concepts is the place to go. They make custom seat foams catered to your height, weight, riding ability, riding type. They also have waterproof covers and foams that will not break down if you ride in a lot of inclement weather. And they pride themselves on being much more comfortable than OEM or any other aftermarket company. If you're looking for a new seat or a new cover, Seat Concepts, there's nothing better. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than Pro-X. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, Pro-X makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. A complete engine rebuild kits for the Polaris RZR 800s. Need to replace something on your bike that's worn out? Look no further than Pro-X. These guys aim to make everything OEM quality or better at an affordable price. And they've also got some new products coming. So right now, chains, sprockets, anything inside the engine internally, air filters. If it wears out, Pro-X makes it, and they make it at a quality level that's OEM or better. And they've got some new things coming that are awesome. Finally, last but not least, Specialized Bicycles. If you are in the market to start pedaling, this is where you want to start. They've got great entry-level bikes all the way up to the Cadillac, the new Levo e-bike, anything in between, man. It doesn't matter what kind of riding you're doing. Go check out and start with Specialized. Don't waste your time on something that's going to break. The derailler's not going to shift after a couple months. Get something quality. These guys make it. Specialized leads that industry.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Whiskey Throttle Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when new shows go up. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And visit whiskeythrottlemedia.com for additional content.